Sit back and relax while you listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave, and along with my co-hosts Dan and Steve, we're going to take you all around the world of miniature wargaming. On tonight's episode, we're going to be finishing up our deep dive going through the Mechanicum. In particular, we're going through the heavy support as well as the Lords of War choices for this. Now, a decent amount of the units are actually going to be coming from the legacies, so if you're following along, you want to make sure you have those available for you as well. In fact, the heavy support is essentially doubled in size when you actually take a look at that document. After this, we're probably still, not in this episode, we're probably going to do a different episode later, discussing maybe more of just overview of Mechanicum since it took so much to do, list building, all those sorts of ideas. So we do want to get to that as well, but it's just been a little too much to really dive into that for the moment. All right, and now, on to the show. All right, gentlemen, how's everyone doing on Wednesday evening?
I'm doing good.
Can't complain. I got a pulse. Good starting point.
If that's all it takes, then your life is going to go pretty well there for you. All right. So, as we said at the top, the plan is heavy support as well as Lords of War. It gives us roughly about the same amount of things we talked about before. Because one, just to get this out of the way now, when we talk about the Knights, it's going to be a very short discussion because we've done the Knights before. We're going to talk about the differences that these guys have and maybe talk about if you took a Knight, maybe which one do you like more from their options. But we're going to keep that pretty short. And some of the other bits are very similar with one small change. So the hope is that this goes at a decent pace. All right. So we are going to be going through things at times a little out of order because we talked before about what people want to talk about. And Dan wanted to talk about in particular the very first two entries, which we don't do back-to-back talkers. So we're going to have Dan start with the Thanatar, and then we'll skip to something else, and then we'll come back to the Myrmidons afterwards.
Yep. And I do love their heavies, but this is where I feel like this is where Mechanicum really do shine. Not in terms of, well, also in terms of power. So not in terms of power, but in terms of power, but also just looks. I love the way their heavy support looks. So, the Thanatar Siege-Automata Maniple. So there's two Thanatars technically. You have the Cavus and the Calyx. There's no different stat line between the two of them. One is more points. We'll get to that in a second. So, they're both move 8, both weapon skill 3, which, who cares? Both ballistic skill 4, strength 8, toughness 8, 7 wounds. So they're very tough. I think that's more than a little. Leviathan is 6 wounds?
7.
Leviathan is 7.
Okay, so they're
that's
basically
exactly as durable as a Leviathan so far.
Oh, nice. Okay. Initiative 3, attacks 3, leadership 7, and a 2-up save. They come in units of 1 Thanatar, but you can purchase an additional 2 for $235 each. They're Cybernetica. They're heavy, obviously. They have Hammer of Wrath 1. They can come in a Maniple, which I'll talk about in a second. Now, I'm going to kind of... Yeah, I'm going to talk about it separately because, again, the Cavus and the Calyx both have 2 separate weapon profiles. So, let's go with the Cavus first, which is the most stereotypical one, I think, that everyone thinks about, which is essentially, it's got a gigantic plasma mortar on its shoulder. So, first of all, it's got 2 shock chargers, which, if you remember correctly... Those were the melee weapons that the Castellax have. That's just strength user AP3. So they're strength 8 AP3, which is that's nice. You know,
strength 8 AP3 is very good.
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
Default AP3 is it's not bad. It's not going to
break exactly. It's
not
good.
Bad because most of the game is a 3-up save or worse.
Exactly. Yes. So then skip that, because that's the Calyx. It has a twin-linked Mauler bolt cannon on its hand. So again, the Mauler bolt cannon is strength 6, AP 4, pinning, and it's also twin-linked. So it's not bad. All right, so the big thing about the the Cavus is that it has a plasma mortar, or as I like to call it,
the friendship
war
killer?
Crime. Yeah, the friend killer. So if you thought plasma was bad, wait till you meet this. So the plasma mortar is 36 inches. Strength 8 AP 4. It is Ordnance 1, Large Blast, Breaching 4 up, Ignores Cover, Reactor Overload. I'll get to Reactor Overload. So it's a large 5-inch blast at Breach 4 up. Ignores Cover, right? Reactor Overload basically means you could take D3 wounds to fire this weapon again.
And you have 7 of them. And you could heal...
No, I think I got to 9. I think I got to 9 in my stupid list. Yeah.
No, he meant 7 wounds.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, no, I thought you meant. I think you fit 9 in the stupid list. Someone tried to, and I was like, please
I mean,
don't.
you can. You have 3 slots, up to 3 in a slot.
No,
That's
no,
not.
it's 3. So it's 3, 6, 9. Oh no, 10 if you take Myrmidon Maniple.
Oh, then one is
Yeah,
the
because you can take the
Lord.
Myrmidon
Yeah.
HQ. But yeah, no, it's a large blast. Take D3 wounds to shoot that twice. At breach 4
There's
up,
still
at
a large
strength 8.
blast.
Yeah, still a large blast.
Wow,
Yeah, no, this thing.
that's upsetting.
Oh,
That's upsetting.
oh. If this double blasts into anything short of, screw it. Even a Terminator squad is going to hurt at this one. You have like a 10-man Terminator squad, and you drop 2 large blasts on that at breach 4 up at strength 8. That's going to hurt. That doubles them out.
Invul equals 1 dead Terminator. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Unless you're salamanders. Well, on. Unless you're salamanders.
Why is this thing stronger than a Vindicator with that cannon? Sorry.
This is not even the strongest.
Stronger than a Typhon.
This funny enough, this is not even the strongest profile in my opinion. But this is a nuts. This is a nuts profile, and it's. I mean, I love it. It's old fashioned. I used to use these back in the day in first edition. I haven't used them yet because I've been playing my Myrmidon. I've been playing the Myrmidons more because I wanted to try that army out. But this is just a solid unit. I mean, 235 points for large blast or 2 large blasts if you want. Please get out of here with your nonsense. But for 20 points, so now you're at 255, you can upgrade it to a Calyx. So the Calyx basically changes some stuff around. On its right, it still keeps its shock charger with the Mauler bolt cannon, right?
No,
one
not this
shock
edition.
charger. No, one shock charger. It keeps 1 shock charger. It doesn't keep 2, essentially.
No, you don't get any.
No, you get. That makes no sense. What? No.
Because there's only the Cavus has 2 shock charges, and there's no mention of a single one for the Calyx.
What the hell?
Yeah. By wording, no, the other one doesn't get.
No, that has to be on. No, I don't want to. Someone check the FAQ because that makes
not
no
on the
sense.
FAQ.
Oh, that makes no goddamn sense. It's literally you replaced GW. Okay, moving on.
Well, no, explain why it doesn't make sense.
Because what it does is it replaces the right
model
arm.
is identical.
Yeah, the model is identical, except it loses its right arm. It just loses 1 shock charger for something called a graviton ram, which I was going to talk about, but now I'm all pissed off.
Would you ever use the charge instead of the ram?
No, absolutely not, but it still annoys. Well, no,
okay, so what does the ram do?
Hold on, does it lose? Okay, no. Okay, so never mind. You know why I was mad? Because remember how the Achilles, when we reviewed it, the wrist guns were attached to the hand that it... Remember that old nonsense?
Yes.
I thought that the Mauler bolt cannon was attached to the wrist. So I was like, oh, does it just lose it? Okay, we're good. Good. Okay. I was thinking the Achilles problem, but we're fine. So doesn't actually have a shock charger. Still has the Mauler bolt cannon, though. And its right hand, it has a graviton ram, which is both shooting and also melee, like all the graviton weapons they have. The graviton ram in range, it's template, concussive 1, graviton pulse, grav wave, and haywire. It's a template grav weapon. That's essentially what it is. It is AP4 though, so I mean, if Thalix come near you, hurt them, I guess. But it is AP4, so it's AP4 template weapon. However, in melee, it is strength 10, AP1, melee, concussive 2.
That's so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Yeah, it punches things.
I laugh at battle-hardened Space Marines.
Yeah, exactly.
Pow!
But my favorite weapon, which I love the fact that it got a globe this edition because no one took it last edition. It's so bad. But this edition, it has the Solex Heavy Las cannon? Or just Heavy Las. Solex Heavy Las. It's 48 inches, strength 10, AP 2, and Heavy 3, Armor Bane ranged, and Shock Pulse. So to remind you, Heavy 3 shots, Armor Bane range means Armor Bane ranged.
2d6 added together to armor penetrate.
Yep. And Shock Pulse, because it has no value, on a 6+, if you penetrate, you roll a dice. On a 6+, you cause an additional penetrating hit. The reason this becomes much more powerful, in my opinion, than Thanatar is that we were talking about Paragon of Metal, who receives it, right, in the army. And ladies and gentlemen, I present to you who receives Paragon of Metal, and that is the Solex Heavy Las Thanatar. This thing will make you 0 friends, but it is hilarious to use. So essentially, Paragon of Metal, for those who essentially forgot what Paragon of Metal was, Paragon of Metal gives you essentially the Paragon subtype, which we talked about before. It basically it stops you from you lose the automatic behaviors essentially, so you don't have to shoot the closest essentially. But it will not die 4-up, which is nice on a 7-wound model, right? It gives you Rampage 2. You're only 1 model, so if someone comes into combat with you, now you're at 5 attacks with Strength 10 AP 1, which is not bad. It gives you +1 weapon skill, so now you're weapon skill 4. Okay. It gives you extra wound, so now you're 8 wounds. But my personal favorite is that you get precision strikes and precision shots 4+. Meaning, now this last cannon is shooting 3 shots at precision strike 4-up. So if there's a Praetor, a Primus Medicae, an Apothecary, Karn, a Sergeant, literally any infantry model you want to delete off the battlefield, shoot at that unit because you can precision strike 4-up on it. And remember, the bolt cannon gets precision strike as well. And because it can't be challenged, let's say someone charges you into combat, you can also precision strike 4-up. So that's Strength 10 AP 1 where you want it. Not a 4+, I should say.
Yeah, that does feel like essentially a necessary upgrade for this model.
It is.
To
it
really
absolutely
make it
1000%
shine.
is.
It's so brain dead.
Now, as a slight warning, I don't think they fixed this. Okay, so this is one of those things where they didn't add it in there, and it's an obvious mistake, but because it's not there, because you replace the Paragon unit subtype, you still can't react with it. Which is weird because you lose everything but the ability to react, because reaction is automata, not cybernetica. So it's kind of weird. Because the whole entire idea of Paragon of Metal is that you are your own unit, right?
Yeah.
Listen, with what that unit's
but whatever,
capable
who
of,
cares?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's a balance thing. There you go.
But anyway, yeah. So it's. I mean, Plasma Mortar, absolutely amazing. Love it. You take 2 of them. I take 2 separately. You can take them in a Talon. Oh, I should have explained what Thanatar Maniple is. Thanatar Maniple is. A Thanatar Maniple is exactly like what you think is. Essentially, you deploy them in unit coherency, but afterwards they operate independently. So it's very much like
a Talon. Same thing.
Talon, yes.
Yep.
But that's essentially your Thanatar Maniple. It essentially is your independent. So yeah, you have your Plasma, which is amazing. You have your Las, which is amazing. Now it is going to run you a cool. It's like I got to figure out here.
It'll be expensive, but it'll get its points back.
Yeah,
that's
290. I've gotten my points back every single game. I don't think I've not done well with the Thanatar with the Paragon of Metal and the Las Cannon. The amount of things I've killed with that thing is it's obscene. Absolutely obscene.
Yeah, maybe precision shots 4-up was a bridge too far.
Yes, 1,000%. But even here, it's not even the precision shots. You charge in, right, with your Praetor and your Salamanders, right, and I'm outnumbered. I get 5 attacks. Let's say I hit you on 5s. 2 of those are going to be hit on a 5-up. Or one of those is going to be hit on a 5-up, sorry. One of those is going to be a 5-up that I precision strike into your Praetor. And you most likely have a 50-50 shot of just dying because it's Strength 10 AP 1.
I mean, I see why you say it is, it is the anti-friendship maker.
Yes.
Now
you can only take 1 Paragon of Metal, by the way. Slight side note.
Thank you.
Did I say? Yes, I did say what, I'll give me a second. I just want to make sure. I did say what shot. Oh, I made a mistake. Apologies. Oh, man. Right. Now I got to put a little. When I talked about Shock Pulse, I apologize to my listeners. I actually made a complete mistake, and I do apologize.
You mentioned talk about Exoshock instead, didn't you?
I was thinking Exoshock. Complete apologies. Put a timer on there before someone yells at me. Shock Pulse is even. Shock Pulse is even scarier.
I already have to edit out your drinking and all that kind of stuff. So
I just sneezed. I haven't drink yet. I got my cup off
I
on the
can
floor.
hear you each time you do it. Yep. I hear the ice rattling.
Oh, so what was I gonna say? Shock Pulse, apologies, is even scarier. Shock Pulse is that if you hit essentially if you hit a tank, I don't think it affects Automata, though. Just give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up right now. What's funny is there is any vehicle. Oh, no, it is Dreadnought. Oh, Jesus Christ. So any vehicle, including super heavy vehicles, Dreadnought or Automata models that suffer a penetrating hit or an unsaved wound from this weapon may only fire snapshots in the following game turn.
Yep.
So let's say you don't have a Praetor out there to snipe and kill, and the person brought a super heavy.
Just shut it down for a turn.
Shut it down for a turn.
Yeah. No,
It's
this is good. I'm not a huge fan of the look, but it is just good overall.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, the
the
plasma
giant
or
robots
the
do not like. I just don't like the look of the giant robots.
See, I like this one because it is. The Castellax are kind of weird because I think they're too shoulder heavy and their legs are a little skinny. I think this is just the appropriate amount of thick, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, right. It's a good model, good points. Don't go wrong with that one.
All right. Now we talked before about for the next one the Karacnos, but I don't. Were we saying that you should do it, Steve, or I should do it? That's at the end of the day. I wasn't sure who we referenced.
No, David.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's the part I wasn't sure of. At the end of that discussion, I don't know what the actual word.
This is up your alley. That's why.
That's fine. All right, so we are skipping over to the Karacnos, so that way Dan can do the Myrmidons shortly. So, this is built on, before we actually talk the thing itself, it's built on the same frame or base look that their Trios armored conveyor is, but this one has more weapons and some extra bits and bobs on it. So, it's 225 points, expensive boy, but we're heavy support. Move at 12, so decent movement. Ballistic skill 4, of course. It's 14, 12, 12. Keep in mind that for these vehicles, they're very long rectangles. So 14 front armor is great, but you have huge sides with 5 hull points. It's, of course, a vehicle. Has the shock ram, which we previously talked about. It has a hull front-mounted Karacnos mortar battery. Does someone have that weapon?
Yes, I do. Okay. Oh, my God. The Friendship Maker Part 2. Right. It is 60 inches, strength 6, AP 4. Mm-hmm. Okay. Heavy 1, massive blast. This is not large blast, this is massive blast. So it's a 7-inch blast.
Yep.
Barrage, Fleshbane, so 2+ to wound. Radphage, we don't care about that roll. Ignores cover, pinning, Shell Shock 3, crawling fire.
That's good. Yeah. So
with a 7-inch blast, why bother crawling fire?
Because you could hit more people. So remember, crawling fire means once you put down the template where it is, you can move it up to 2 inches, but it has to cover more models. This thing is huge. Now, your ability for it to scatter away is pretty small because of how big this is and with your ballistic skill of 4. But that does mean you could move it that little bit to make sure you get something else. Or you move it a little bit to maybe tag that next unit who maybe you missed entirely because you're hoping to pin them because you're Shell Shock 3. So it's not the most deadly weapon, but you are absolutely going to have a good shot at pinning people, which is honestly, to some extent, depending on what you're doing, just as good. It has 2 sponsor mounted lightning locks. What's a lightning lock do?
So do you like blast? Because we got more of it. It's 36 inches, strength 7, AP 3, heavy 1, small blast, rending 4 up, shred, exoshock 4 up.
So I mean, so that's your gun that's actually going to probably do more of the killing then.
Yes.
Yeah. The other gun will pin people and it's a giant blast, like you're going to catch people in it, but the other weapons are actually where they're going to take people down. It does have a flare shield, so it's going to count as a 15 in that very narrow front, and it comes automatic with searchlights, so you don't have to worry about paying for extra on that.
16 versus blast. Ooh.
Yes.
Make Vindicators even more useless.
For options, we'll talk about the special rules in 1 second. Options, you can put some hunter killer missiles on it. No. Special rules. So galvanic traction drive.
That's the reroll that's the same one that the Triaros has. Must reroll fail dangerous terrain.
Yes. So that's nice and simple. And hazardous munitions. This is, I'm assuming you can hurt yourself.
So
I
don't have that page open.
This one Steve can read because I laugh at this one.
Yeah. So If a model with this special rule suffers an explodes result on the vehicle damage
There it is.
chart as a result of a melee or shooting attack, the explodes result causes nearby units to suffer a strength 8 AP4 hit for each model within D6 plus 6 inches instead of the usual damage and area of effect.
So instead of the normal D6 inches, strength 8 AP dash is normally what it is. You are 6 plus D6, and you actually have an AP. The AP, when you're talking about this army, matters. Many other places it doesn't so much. I mean, if you're going against, Solar Auxilia, sure. But against the mainline armies, it doesn't matter. But if you're fielding this army, that is a legitimate threat, then the explosion to your own army, because you'll have 4-up save items.
I was going to say that's that's a danger to anyone though. Like, okay,
Well, I'm
how many
talking
times
about.
have
So here's the distinction: a normal explosion. So if you're a Space Marine, other than distance, this explosion is no worse because the AP is irrelevant.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
I'm saying, like, when you think about a normal explosion, one, this is also bigger, but also two, since it has this AP versus this army, they actually care about it.
yeah, because a lot of ours is 4-up. Yep.
Like Thalax are gonna not appreciate it.
Nope.
Yes. The thought part that will help some of those is they end up being toughness 5, so they're not doubled out. But yeah, no, if you blow up, because remember, since this is a heavy support, it's more likely to probably be to hurting your own army / maybe the unit that went in to go and kill it than the opponent, because it's not going to be in the middle of the opponent's line. This thing is 36-inch range, 60-inch range. It's sitting back, and especially with your giant blast, your goal is to probably hit about 36 inches away. You put your giant template. You pin a bunch of stuff, and the other weapons go in and kill a few things.
So I have seen someone take 2 of these and then like a Maniple of Thanatars, right?
No, that's just too much.
Yes. So it was night fighting turn 1, and the Karacnos, I think this has to be a record, from the 2 units pinned 7 units. Just the
I can
2
see
of
that,
them.
yeah.
Because it was -4 leadership.
A massive blast you're not going to be able to spread out enough to really get away from. Especially if they go first, because just based on deployment, assuming your stuff isn't all in safe vehicles, if you actually have infantry, you're not going to be able to spread them out far enough that this giant blast isn't going to be catching at least a few units, or even if it only catches 1, that plus the other 2 guns is going to decimate that unit, and they're not going to do anything for a while.
Yep. It was 7 units pinned from 2 tanks. I was just, because I was watching the game, and I'm just like, oh, and the Thanatars just walked up and.
It actually feels a little cheap for what it can do.
Yes, 100%.
Although I will say, and this is true, I think, of any sort of scatter thing. Again, the giant 7-inch blast, maybe not quite as much, but since you scatter, you could actually do really bad. So there is a chance very little happens. Now the 7's tougher to scatter away, but on weapons that scatter, I do think they err a little bit on the cheaper side because there's a chance your weapon does 0. How many times we had a large blast go 8 inches away?
Very true. But here's the problem. It's 2d6 -2 because you still have the I say -2. Technically it's not, but you do still correct it 2 inches.
Yes.
So there is that.
Yeah, to an extent you're almost shooting at. Well, remember, you correct it, but you have to cover more is the problem.
More, yes.
So you can move it, but like you can't hit another unit if moving to the other unit doesn't get you additional models. So it comes into play. It's absolutely a great piece. No, I do like this one. I like it, at least when I look at it, a little bit more than the conveyor, because I think its look is a little bit nicer. Again, it's the same basic body, but has some weapons hanging off the side.
Mm-hmm.
And its missiles are what the other thing are. You can kind of see it along the top is essentially a bunch of missile racks.
You could actually build it with the missile racks down too. I don't know why you would, but you could. I own this. That's
because
what
they
owned
ruin the
past
profile.
Yes, it does change out the profile a lot. You can at least see the weapon, but yeah, it's a very different profile then.
Yeah.
Like silhouette.
Yes.
By profile, by the way. Also, I hate the mounting of the lightning locks.
They look kind of stupid because they're just. It's like 2 arms holding bags off to the side.
The good news is, so I don't know how hard it is to explain this. It's the lightning locks have 4 modes of articulation, or 3. Okay. Sorry, I can't count. It's there's
up, down,
yes, it's a ball and socket joint on the tank chassis. It's a elbow joint on the L, and then it's a ball and socket joint on the gun.
Okay.
If that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
No, it makes
That's
sense.
way too many degrees of freedom.
Yeah, so you
That's
have
terrible.
so when I built mine, for example, I built it in such a way that it was more tucked in, because the problem is you will hit everything on the board and
If you
scratch
don't
it
tuck them
and
in,
break
they're
it.
wings.
Yeah, essentially.
You got to tuck them in, otherwise you got a giant pair of wings.
Another way you could build them is like you do the inverted L. So you know how so you see on the picture they're like it looks like an L. It looks like a triangle going up, right?
Yeah.
People will have it where it's more like, let's say, an arrow pointing to the right or an arrow pointing to the left, right? So they'll have the
All right.
lightning locks going up like chicken wings, essentially. Which I don't like. It looks kind of weird
I
like
think that
that.
works.
But
That to me, that's worse. But
yeah, it is. But it makes it fit more.
yeah. All right. It is a really cool tank. I do like this, and I do like the look of it more. So if I was doing this, I would run these instead of Thanatars. Personally, I'm not saying it's better, but I'm just not huge on the Thanatars personally. All right. Before we go back to Myrmidons, Steve, do you
let's
want to
talk
do
about
Krios, and then we'll go back to Myrmidons?
Sure. So, the Krios battle tank, the Krios Squadron rather. There are two versions. You have the battle tank and the Venator. Stat-wise, they are identical. Used to be two different unit entries, but now it's one. So, hey, now you can mix and match. For stats, we have movement 16, ballistic skill 4, front armor 13, side armor 12, rear armor 10, and 4 hull points. So it's Predator equivalent with a little extra power in that drive system, especially since this is a fast vehicle. For those who don't know what fast vehicles do, such as myself, I just learned this like 10 minutes ago. A fast vehicle always counts as moving combat speed, so it can move its full 60 inches and shoot without any penalty, or
Which is insane.
you can move double speed at the risk of hurting yourself. You roll a die, and on a 1, you take a glancing hit, and you can only fire snapshots.
That's not a bad downside to be able to go 32 inches for some reason if you needed to.
32 inches, it's
I'll put it.
crazy fast.
Again, as someone who knows someone who owns this, 16 is more than enough to get on flanks of shit. It's
sure
so
is. Dude,
gross.
when you're saying the Thanatar moved 8, I was shocked. Because that's fast. For something that, I mean, it's big, so it's long legs. But anyway, Krios. You can take up to 2 extra tanks for 125 each, so it's a straight linear growth. You can upgrade any of the tanks in the squadron to the Venator version. Oh my god, I forgot to talk about the weapons.
I got you.
Basically, though, here's where it differs.
No.
One has
Steve,
a lightning cannon, one has a pulsar fusel. It's 25 extra points for the pulsar fusel. The lightning cannon is going to be a arc weapon. It's got a 36-inch range, strength 7, AP 3, heavy 1, large blast 5 inches, running on a 4-up with shred, and exoshock 4-up. So
that's really good.
That's solid. Rending 4-up is just a nice place to be if you're going to have rend, because, yeah, shred is nice because you shoot a dreadnought, now you're rending it 3/4 of the time. It's pretty solid. Not going to lie. I'd be happy to have that.
It's large
and if
blast,
you upgrade it,
which is insane.
Pulsar Fusel, this is a Las type weapon. The Pulsar Fusel is 36 inches again. It's got strength 9, AP 2, so we got Lascan profiles, except it's Ordnance 4 and pinning.
Ordnance is roll 2 dice, take the highest. Is that better than re-rolling?
So it is just objectively better than re-rolling.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yes, although Ordnance also has some downsides in terms of being able to fire and move with certain things. On a vehicle, it's not as bad, but it does mean it's the only weapon you got, so it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, exactly. I was going to say.
I mean, you could take some centrally mounted Volkite calibers for 30 points a month. That's aggressively high for what you're getting. Calibers aren't that good. For like 10 points, sure, I might do it on the basic Krios. Not on this thing. You can also spend 100 killer missiles if you want. I think both versions of the Krios have places in a list. I probably wouldn't mix my squadrons. But
no, very different purpose.
Yeah. But I think both are great. Oh, and I forgot to mention that they have searchlights built in. Yay. They have a galvanic traction drive, so they must reroll failed dangerous terrain checks. And to top it all off, it will not die 6 up. So you lose a hull point, it's okay. You fix it on a 6 at the end of your turn.
Yep.
So knowing the basics of this army, and again, I mean, we can make an argument for both, sure. But knowing the general way this army looks, which one feels like it's more needed? Again, we're assuming that maybe people are taking a variety of things. You're not loading down with, I'm not taking 3 Thanatars because I want variety of stuff. Does one feel like its weapon is more useful?
It really depends on what the rest of the list is.
Yeah.
Because you can find plenty of tank removal in the form of photon thrusters and dark lances. Now, they're doing it because they have that Eldar rule. What's it called? Lance. Because they're lances, right?
Yes.
You can take multi-meltas on the Thalax, which is cool. Most of it you're getting through like Exoshock, for example, or if you have a Thanatar with a giant las, through that. So I'm inclined to say, more generally, you're better off with the Venator with the Pulsar Fusel, just because it gives you that high strength vehicle decimation. That said, there also isn't that much blast weaponry in the book. And having a base AP3 blast is a pretty solid thing to have, especially when it can move 60 inches a turn and does all this other cool stuff.
No, I agree with Steve. I like the last pulse. The thing is, the last pulses are 25 points per model, so you are now paying 150. But that being said, you have a 16-inch move model with 4 shots at strength 9 and ordnance. You're gonna flank some stuff unless you're hitting like a land raider, right? Because they're 14 all around. No, but I'm saying because they're 14 all around.
Oh, for the flanking purposes.
So, yeah, exactly. But yeah, you're gonna flank whatever the hell you want, honestly.
You know, the Krios is, both versions are solid. Visually, I like the base one better, maybe because it came first. So I guess the classic image.
Is that which one? Hold on, I gotta look at that.
That's the one with the long lightning gun.
Yeah.
No, I don't
the
like.
Venator has like the 3 rings all together, and it looks like it should be like a demolisher cannon. But it's a lance cannon.
I don't like.
They look backwards compared to what they do.
I don't like that flared end to it. That does annoy me a little bit.
On the lightning version?
Yeah, I hate that flared, like, it almost looks like an old blunderbuss. That does kind of annoy me a little bit. By the way, Dave, I know you kind of were talking about these tanks looking. Do you see what the rider is or no? Like, can you? Let me
go to where for these ones.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. Let me.
Yeah,
this one.
I will say the way the rider is in the tank is absolutely hilarious, and I laugh every time someone brings something.
Looks almost like a skeleton.
Yeah, it's a snail. He's in his little snail pod.
It's basically the original.
Yep.
What's it called?
Magos. It was the original Magos, yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say alien guy, the space jockey.
Oh, it's a space jockey.
No, but this also, they don't sell them anymore, sadly. They got them. But the Magos had the same, snail man. They don't sell him anymore, but he had this exact same kind of like snail-like profile, and I just love the fact that there was a tie-in between the two of them, which is just really cool.
Yeah, picture-wise, it's a little bit tough to see him.
The angle's pretty
even when
bad
you zoom in, it's just a little bit hard.
That giant cog and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, it's a long vehicle. Their vehicles all tend to be rather long, so therefore, when they're trying to show it, you actually are pretty far from where the cockpit is. Overall, I think I agree weapon-wise. I mean, of the two, getting the strength 9 shots, even if you're not versus a vehicle, that helps you double out things that you might be worried about otherwise, or hit into your dreadnoughts and things like that. You can have other units essentially be doing crowd control. So
it is pinning, too. So like the last balls are, which is somewhat hilarious. Yeah.
All right. That gives us some tanks. So why don't we now go back to Dan, and he can talk ad nauseum about these Myrmidons.
No, it's really not going to be well, it is because of one weapon that I refuse to take. Because I didn't know it was this weapon. I'll talk about it. So, Myrmidon Destructor Horse. Yeah, there's a reason why it annoys me. But anyway, so the Myrmidon Destructor Host is 145 points. And these are basically the heavier version of the Myrmidons. So remember from our last talk, the Myrmidons had the 2 shoulder guns, but they were like medium-sized shoulder guns and an axe. These guys are holding the larger guns. So, almost similar profile to the Myrmidons with less attacks. So they got movement 6, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 5, strength 5, toughness 5, 4 wounds, initiative 2, 2 and 3 attacks instead of 3 and 4, leadership 8 and 9, and a 3-up save. With a 5-up invulnerable because they also have their refractor field. They have frag and crack grenades. There's a unit of 3. They are heavy, so realize that. They're bulky 3, relentless and stubborn. They're armed with a shock charger, so that's your strength user. So strength 5, AP 3, which is nice. It's native AP 3. And then, of course, they have their assortment of guns, which this is where I love the Myrmidon heavies because you could really versatile them a little bit. So anyway, you could stock for 145 points for free, basically. You could take Volkite Culverins. So for those who don't know what Volkites are, Volkite Culverins are 45 inches, strength 6, AP 5, 5 shots.
Yeah, they are great.
Right? So that's 25 shots from a unit, hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s most likely. Excellent amount of DACA, period. Just done. But let's say you want to go a little heavier. Well, for 15 points a pop, I should have mentioned you could take up to 10. You take 7 more for 40 points a pop, by the way. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And I agree, by the way. It's the same argument I have for Myrmidons, by the way, how they were too many wounds or too cheap to take, is going to be the same exact argument here, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Conversion beamers. You can take a conversion beamer for 15 points each. Now, I was not a conversion beamer person. I did not like the conversion. I didn't understand the concept of the conversion beamer. So for those who don't know, the conversion beamer essentially is the Space Marine one. It gets stronger as you go out. So from 0 to 18, it's strength 6. I should point out the type is always heavy 1, small blast, blind. That doesn't change. But what happens is from 0 to 18, it's strength 6, AP dash. From 18 to 42, it's strength 8, AP 4. And then from 42 to 72, it's strength 10, AP 1. I never really understood the purpose because it was strength 8, AP 4, small blast. So I put a whole bunch of small blast out on Terminators, but they get to reroll their 2-up saves. Maybe I kill 1 if I'm lucky. That was until I played I think it's Dawn of War. What's the 12 inches up, but it's not long ways, it's short ways. That's Dawn of War, right?
It should be. It was always called Dawn of War in the past. Yeah, that's probably the name they attached.
You deploy, basically. Yeah. I finally got to play a mission that did not include that. My conversion beamers apps. So I shot a Death Guard squad that consisted of 10. Was it Grave Wardens? The
Grave Wardens, yes.
10 Grave Wardens, a Primus Medicae, and a Praetor in it. And 5 conversion beamers shot at them at 72 inches. And it wiped the entire squad out. The entire squad got knocked out. Because it's strength 10, AP 1, it's small blast.
So your problem with conversion beamers were that essentially, to me, it almost sounds like your problem was target priority.
Yeah, well, it was more of range.
Well, yes, but that's target priority. So when you have a conversion beamer, you're not going to situate that unit in the middle of the field. You situate them off to a side. That way you can guarantee that you get the distances you need to be able to be strength 10, AP 1.
I wasn't understanding the concept, I guess. Because remember, I came from playing Cybernetica, and Cybernetica was bully the middle field. Mid-range weapons, mid-range and close combat kind of stuff. So I was not used to the above 40 inches of range, essentially.
Yeah.
So now that I understood what they did, I'm like, oh, that makes... And then I used the strength 10 to snipe out Land Raiders, essentially. So...
Dan
conversion beamers are a great weapon.
Yeah. What happened, Steve?
You learned how to shoot full court.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. I was so used to playing, and again, Myrmidons are very midfield as well, very close range. So playing this was a weird shift for me, but once I understood, I was like, oh, wow, these are amazing. For 15 points pop? Absolutely. Also for 15 points, not that I would take this, but it's still hilarious. You could take Graviton Imploders. which are really fun. They're heavy 2. They're 18-inch range, AP 3. So okay, they could kill Space Marines. Heavy 2, Graviton Pulse, Concussive 1, Haywire. So, I mean, the problem is you lose all that range, and you become 18 inches for 2 shots of Haywire.
On your heavy support unit,
Yeah.
I'd usually want to be able to actually hit from far away.
Yeah. Then we get to the fun, the Friend Maker version 3, Darkfire. So the Darkfires are essentially the las weapons that we were talking about before. They're just a little stronger. So it's the Darkfire cannon is 36 inches, strength 7, AP 2, heavy 2, blind, lance, and gets hot. So it's exactly what the Castellax have, essentially. So you have your strength 7, AP 2, 2 shots at lance and blind, gets hot. This is great for killing some tanks if you need to, but it's also great for just picking out some Terminators, which is what I tend to use that for. Either picking out Terminators or Contemptors, essentially. And then the last thing, so this is where I talk about why I don't want to. I thought when I built my Myrmidons, they have a really cool weapon. So Dave is probably going to look this up on Forge World now, but when they package them, they come with 3 weapons, right? So it's missing technically 2 out of the 5 weapons, essentially. And, they come 1, 1, and 1. Now, I bought 5 so I can have, I bought 5 sets of 15 so I can have 5, 5, 5. Okay. But when I bought them, I thought that the weapon that they came with, because it has 2 guns on it, it's got 2 barrels on it. I don't know if you're pulling it up now, but it's got 2 barrels on it. I thought that was the Darkfire. It looks like the Darkfire. No. It's got the fins on it like the Darkfire. And I was like, oh, screw it, it's a Darkfire. And then someone corrected me and said it's the irradiation. So because I play WYSIWYG, I was like, screw it. Let me play with the irradiation engine, one time, see what happens. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. You know what I mean? Holy hell. So let's talk about what this does, and this is a little bit insane. So irradiation engine you can take for 20 points each, which is nice. It is template. Okay. Flamer template, which is really short range, right? Yeah, that's weird. Strength 4, AP 3. Okay, so it's a short range. Flamer template, that's great. Fleshbane, so wounds on 2s. Radvage. Torrent 12.
So waiting for you to stop burying the lead and just get to it.
Yeah, Torrent. Well, it's at the end. Torrent 12. What the? That is, for those at home, that is a 20-inch
125-inch threat range.
Yeah. With an AP3 flamer that you can angle, as long as that the smaller point, I should say, is closer to you, you can angle it whichever way you want. I use this in a so I changed it to irradiation engines in the event, right? Just to try it out.
You used it in a war crime?
It was against salamanders. And I toasted around 57 tactical squads before the fire drakes came in and mopped me up. 57
tactical
models. Tactical Marines, sorry.
Oh my God.
57 tactical Marines. I toasted 57 tactical Marines before the salamander fire drakes came in and mopped me up. It was...
But they had to work for it too, from what I remember, right? Like
he did. Effort. Well, because he had to use his Librarian to become Strength 10 and also the Advanced Reaction to become Strength 10, which popped Myrmidons left and right. But yeah, no, this was a war crime. 20 inches is a lot longer than people underestimate this. And it could shoot around corners, which is even stupider. I don't run it though because I don't like flamers and I still want to believe that it's a Darkfire. And because it's got 2 barrels, what the hell? And I just like Darkfire more, even though it gets hot. But yeah, no, the irradiation engine, if you want to just mass AP3 flame or something, yeah. It is brutal.
It takes away some of that downside of it being a shorter weapon, so you have to get them there.
Yeah.
You could still fire at a really good distance. And with a move of 6, that means even if you're the normal 24 apart from each other, when you move forward, turn 1, you could actually be hitting people.
Yep.
Or if they've moved up at all, you now have them in range.
Yep.
And to me, I mean, it's always the same problem that Myrmidons have is that they have just enough of everything. You know, Their ballistic skill. Okay, with that weapon, it doesn't matter. But overall, they have the ballistic skill. The ballistic skill is a little bit better than most. Their toughness is a bit better than most. They have a good amount of wounds. They're actually very tough to take down without just chewing through them one at a time.
Again, the biggest difference between 1.0 and this is that in 1.0 they had 2 wounds and they were absolutely useless because you would just bully them off. I remember there were no reactions as well, by the way, in 1.0.
Yeah.
So there were 2 wounds, no reactions, you just bully off the battlefield, they're gone. And they were just as expensive. Now there are 4 wounds with reactions, which it just makes them too much, in my opinion. You either have to up the points, or I wouldn't say reduce them to 2 wounds, because I think 3 wounds would be an appropriate amount for the points that you're spending with Gets Hot. But yeah, they're I should have probably waited for the rules to pop before I bought 15 of them.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. I'm okay.
It's okay because it wasn't more Custodes. It was
Yeah.
something different.
It is very true. It was a completely different army, so that is true.
All right. So from there,
Legacies.
No, we have what? No, you have the armatures.
We have 4 more heavy. Oh, I forgot about
yeah, the armatures are actually
the
still in here as
specialized
well.
armatures.
I forgot.
These are
all
the
about
special
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a difference in the order I have for my notes. Who wants to do special armatures?
Do it.
There's so much
Do it.
salt around them.
No, they're so good. They're so good. Do it.
Although I feel like Dave had fun with the Land Raider, so I'll do the Moirax. I'll do the Moirax.
Okay.
So for the Knight Moirax talent, for 200 points per body, up to 4 total, you get an armature stat line. Nothing new, right? Movement 8, weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 7, toughness 7, 6 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attack, they should be 8, a 3-up save. It's armature type. It's Knight Moirax. You get a Siege Claw with inbuilt IRAD cleanser, so that is the one brutal weapon that in this book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Along with a Fleshbane
got it.
Flamer. Okay. Brutal 2 is cool, I guess. You get a Volkite Vogler. I don't know. I don't know for
It's a heavy 5 Volkite. That's strength
Thank
6 AP5.
Thank you.
30
they already
inches now,
have.
so it's-
They already have one. Oh, 'cause
30
it's 30
inches, not 45.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get an Ionic Deflector, which is going to give you that. What was it? A 6-up invul? 5-up invul?
No, it's 5 up, isn't it? Hold on.
I
I got you.
It's
Go
the
on to
same as
next
the
thing.
basic armatures get. And they
Yeah,
get a
armatures
rad
get 5
furnace,
up, don't they?
interestingly enough.
I got you.
So
It is a
in close
5 up
combat-
invulnerable. They
Oh,
gain
but the
Eternal
weaker
War
explosion, right?
and D6 plus 3 strength 8 AP dash. No, it's D6 plus 3.
So
Bigger
it is a
explosion.
big explosion.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my big explosion.
But 5 up invulnerable. Yep.
Okay. They got a rad furnace, so in close
Yeah, they
combat, they're wounding on 1 easier than they normally would. So if they're just straight up punching a dreadnought, doing on what? You don't get a bonus to your strength on Siege Claw, right? So it's still just be the equals, and so 4s, except we cheat and make it 3s.
So Siege Claw is strength
Never mind,
times
strength
2.
times 2.
Yeah,
You're
strength times
wounding
2.
There you
anything
go.
on 2s anyway.
No, but
What's
wait,
the point of the
Steve.
rad furnace if
Wait,
you're
I
already
got
wounding
you.
everything on 2s?
I got you. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to flip through the book as quickly as possible. There it is.
It gives you immunity to the rad furnace.
Any melee hits allocated to models locked in combat with 1 or more units that include a model with rad furnace require 1 lower to hit. So if the
other
knight
units would get the
charges,
benefit.
yep, the
Yeah.
other units get the benefit.
Okay. I'm slightly less upset now. But yeah, no.
Was that where the salt was, and then you found out it's actually perfectly
No.
seasoned?
I don't have
Okay.
salt. Everyone else in the world has salt.
Okay,
This
got it.
used to be an option for knight households to take.
Yes, it was.
I still
Sorry, I
think you
should've
should be able
laughed.
to take a themed knight household of Mechanicum specific knights and have these guys, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, those are the weapons. For special rules, we got Fleet 2 Grusso Protocol, which is how do you explain this one succinctly, Dan?
Oh, you want me? Grusa Protocol. It just makes
Yeah.
a unit that includes 1 or more model with this special rule may make 1 advanced reaction. It's the advanced reaction that I think we covered this with knights, but it's a just in
No,
case.
this is the first time it comes up.
Oh, really? Oh, apologies. Yeah. So the Gruesome Protocol is an advanced reaction. And it has all the advanced reaction allotments and everything, so I'm not going to go through that. This advanced reaction may be made whenever an enemy unit declares a charge targeting a friendly unit with the Automata unit type or Knight unit subtype which is within 12 inches of another friendly unit that includes at least one model with the Gruesome Protocol special rule and is not itself locked in combat. So anything that's 12 inches gets that's an Automata or Knight that gets charged, and you're a Gruesome Knight particle, and you're not locked in combat. Anyway, this unit with the Gruesome Protocol special rule may make a shooting attack targeting the unit that triggered this reaction and following all the usual rules for the shooting attack. A unit that makes a shooting attack as part of the Gruesome Protocol reaction may not make any attacks indirectly, so it has to have line of sight, including weapons with the broad special rule or other weapons or special rules that otherwise ignore line of sight. And vehicles may only fire defensive weapons. Template weapons used as part of the Gruesome Protocol use Wall of Death.
Okay.
Another unit gets to Overwatch.
Yes, essentially.
It's the Sons of Horus advanced reaction, basically, except this isn't once per game, and the unit being reacted to doesn't get cover saves.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's cool, I guess.
That's good.
It's helpful in an automata-heavy army because they don't get their own reactions.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, don't worry. I got you. I'll react for you, bro. The Moirax Talon does what you think it does. You get to take them all, and they all split up on their own. They get moved through cover, which is nice, and they have night vision built in, so you're not getting shrouded saves against them. I'm sorry. Night vision's huge.
Yes.
So like I said, you take up to 3 more for a total of 4 for 200 points a pop. You can replace the Volkite or the Siege Claw with either a Siege Claw or a Volkite for free, so you could double up on either one of those. You take a Lightning Lock for 5 points each. This is the same gun that the War Crimes tank had. It's a small blast lightning gun, essentially.
Yeah.
You can take a Conversion Beam Cannon for 10 points, or a Graviton Pulsar for 10 points. A Conversion Beam Cannon is going to be just a normal Conversion Beamer, but one larger on the template size. So it's going to be a 3-inch. It's a 5-inch template.
No. Conversion Beamer is still 3-inch.
No. Conversion Beam Cannon.
Yeah. The heavy Conversion Beam Cannon is a large blast. The Conversion Beam Cannon is still 3-inch. It's just +1 strength. So instead of 6, 8, 10,
so
it's 7, 9, 12.
Conversion weapons? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Why?
Well, no, I'm not kidding you, but
why?
The heavy, for reference, the heavy Conversion Beam Cannon is only found in the Porphyry. How did I say the damn name? I always forget. Porphyrian Popcorn Knight.
You also get it on a Predator battle tank.
Oh, heavy. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, Predators get the heavy.
That's why I thought it was the larger blast.
The heavy one or the normal? Oh man, I'm gonna make you
Predator gets the heavy one.
Because heavy is the heavy is the big Porphyrion arm. Like the goofy, big, huge, like it's bigger than a Predator. I think they just might have Conversion Beam cannons.
I don't know, dude.
Either way.
That.
Yeah,
In
either
case,
way.
I was wrong. Conversion Beamer, but 1 more strength.
Yeah.
So farther away equals more strong, equals less benefit for that reaction. There's that. And then there's the Graviton Pulsar. And that one is going to be range 24. No strength. The strength is for suckers. AP 4. So it's heavy 2. 3-inch blast, so it's a 2-shot blast weapon. Very nice. Concussive 1. Graviton Pulse, and Haywire. That's aight.
Meh.
Yeah, I'm not particularly excited about that one. I like some of the options a lot better.
I like the Volkite and Lightning.
The Pulsar is great if your plan is to run Overwatch interference.
Very true.
It's
hey, you're moving slower. Bam.
Yeah.
Oh, that is true.
That's a really good purpose for this thing, is to do that.
No, did you over? And it is AP3. So, remember, we talked about how,
AP4.
Oh, this is AP4. Oh, you know what I saw? I saw the Graviton Imploder.
You saw the one above it. Yep.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think at least it's a normal Graviton Pulse and not like the big Graviton. The big Graviton is so annoying to run. The Singularity. Ugh. But, no. I think it's an interesting choice if you're doing the charge interference. If you want to actually be aggressive with what you're doing, I'd probably take Lightning Locks ×2.
I'd still keep a Siege Claw, he says, maybe.
And I still
Or
just like
double
this.
Siege Claws, one of the two, personally.
I still see this unit as really useful, and like I said, in terms of you actually get to react back. Something is shooting back. I like it. You know, it can even be a bit of a. I don't know if much in here needs a bodyguard, but it can be something that goes along with to either be able to finish up if you have that claw at least on one hand, or shoot something down as it comes rushing in for some of your lighter stuff or things that you would like to be able to shoot back but can't. And plus, I mean, it's a knight style thing, so those I do like the look of. I do like the look of the knight type things. So Moirax I do actually like the look of. All right. So that heavy support wise, that ends the main things in the book. We would now be looking at the legacies. We haven't. I guess we should talk about the Land Raider because we haven't actually talked about a Phobos at all. Very, very briefly.
This is very
short.
different. Have you actually looked at this before?
Yes, it's got all the options.
Oh, you're going to go on quite the adventure reading through this.
Yeah,
thing.
enjoy this one. That's why I made you do
That's
it.
fine. Well, I'm gonna shorten the options. Talk about this. It has a lot of options because otherwise it just takes so long. Okay, so the Land Raider Phobos. What is? I'm trying to remember because there's so many stupid names for all these ones.
I think Phobos is the 40K variant. I think
so
40K
Phobos is the 40K one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And there's a variety of them out there. All right, so it's move 12, Blitz skill 4. It's of course 14 all around, 5 hull points, transport capacity 12. It is reinforced, so it's a transport as well as reinforced. It has 2 sponson-mounted las cannons, and it has a hull-mounted twin-linked heavy bolter. So much like, you know, a Proteus style sort of thing. Although that's Gravis las cannons, it's just normal las cannons.
Yep, these are single las cannons.
Yep. It has Power of the Machine Spirit. That's a typical thing for Land Raiders, and it's an assault vehicle, typical thing for Land Raiders. Has the same sort of access points you would have for a Land Raider. The biggest thing for this is the variety of options that it has. So you can remove your sponson las cannons. You could get more heavy bolters if you want to be terrible. You could get flamethrower cannons. I could absolutely see that because flamethrower and it's strength 6, AP 4, it's heavy 1, but they are torn 18. Normal heavy flamers and all on a Land Raider, I think you're doing it because you like the idea of it. Unless, I don't know, maybe you're salamanders and you can make that cool then. But otherwise, I don't think they're very good. Tauren 18, being able to throw them out there, now it could actually do something. You can make an argument for that.
Casual 26.175 inches or something?
Yeah.
Nuts.
Plasma cannons, which is, or multi-melta. So this one gets a lot of very cool options. Your side can essentially be a variety of heavy weapons. Do any of the other Land Raiders get like plasma cannons on the side?
No.
I don't think so. No.
They've never even built that model.
No. So I
haven't even seen it in a white dwarf. Like, I've seen
multi-melta.
none of these.
Wait, Steve.
Yeah.
There is a Land Raider that gets multi-meltas, right? Isn't that the...
Yes. So the Achilles has multi-melta sponsons.
There it is. Yes.
And from an old White Dwarf article, I think there was one that multi-melta sponsons the Ares. It was like a siege tank variant.
Yeah, there was a siege.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not entirely unheard of, but to have this variety is, well, okay, this is Mechanicum. These are the people who make the damn things.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you're just allowed to put whatever weapon they got. Yeah, go ahead. You can get rid of your heavy bolter and replace it with a variety of things, including las cannon makes sense, plasma fusils, graviton guns, volkite culverins, multi-meltas. So if you want to add 60 points to this thing, you could actually be carrying 3 multi-meltas, which is hilarious.
Yes.
I like the idea of that. It is very expensive, and I'm not saying it would be good, but that would be fun. Oh, and you can get one more multi-melta. So for 300 points, this thing can have 4 multi-meltas. Because you could take a pintle-mounted weapon. It has, for interesting options, multi-meltas. Okay, multi-melta, so an interesting option. They can Havoc Launcher, sure, be terrible. Heavy Flamers, why bother? Heavy Bolter, no. Take the multi-melta. If you're going to take one at all, you can buy Searchlights, absolutely do so. And Hunter Killers, no, multi-meltas.
No, multi-melta.
So that's 300
I'm
points.
shocked you aren't tricking it out in the plasma. Because
I
plasma
like the
fuels are
plasma.
base
So
AP3.
I like the plasma cannons myself.
Strength 7, AP 4, with breaching 4 up. I don't mind it. My problem with plasma cannon is the same
Or
sort of problem.
also the strength 6 AP3 in the turret mount.
Yeah, very true. I guess I guess the part I'm not quite as sold on about it, and I don't have a problem with it overall, but a plasma cannon always has the chance that I roll the one and I do nothing. So I take these two guns and I took them for points. I added, say, 20 points because I'm not, you. Oh no, sorry, 10 points total. My
Yep.
apologies. Oh, so actually turning it all to multi-melt is only additional 60. It's not the additional 80. But okay, so for 10 points, but there's a chance I roll some ones and I don't do anything. In a squad of 10, like I took, I'm not as worried. I'm gonna get shots out. It's the same reason why when I was playing my Deredeo, what is it, the plasma cannonade or whatever the name of the gun is. The one round I rolled a 1. Okay, he doesn't do anything. Here's this model who just doesn't fire now. I want this thing to do something. That's the only reason I would look at the other weapons. Again, I wouldn't be looking at putting flamers. Maybe the flamestorm, cool, sure, but I like it. Even if you don't want to load it down with multi-meltas, keeping the 2 last cannons and putting multi-melta on the front isn't bad because you do have power of the machine spirit. So last cannons can fire down range. The multi-melta hit for the vehicle a little closer, the one that you kind of feel confident getting through with your 2d6 for armor pen. Transport 12. Now, the only thing in this army is we know a lot of things have difficulty in vehicles because a lot of it's bulky and all those sort of bits. So you're probably not fitting many models.
But it is an assault vehicle.
Yes.
So that's
what? Let's say I own this thing.
Salax.
Myrmidons.
Myrmidon, because I was going to say, I let's say I own this and I've loaded it down with every multi-melta imaginable. So your vehicle is dead, and now I get to charge what's inside. So those are the two things that you guys see are what you want in there.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing that I'm back and forth with
Myrmidons inside is actually not a bad shout because you roll up, melt the tank. Myrmidons melt whatever was inside the tank.
The plasma, and then charge whatever's because the Triaros is not an assault vehicle, so you cannot assault out of that vehicle. But this thing, you roll up with 4 Myrmidons with plasma in it, melta whatever that 4 meltas into whatever the hell.
You could just load it up with the bolters and pin something and then charge it.
Yeah.
Bolters aren't pinned on Myrmidons.
They're not.
No.
Oh, I thought
they're less range, more shots is what.
Oh, that's when they are. Okay.
Myrmidon's F tier then.
Worst literally unplayable.
Yep.
Worst reality.
I agree the Myrmidons could do well, although walking toughness 5 4 wound models I don't mind to get extra shots with, but because this is also not a dedicated for anyone, so it is eating the heavy support choice.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest drawback. I would love this if it was like a 0 to 1 dedicated transport for anything. Be like, yeah, I'm gonna build my Land Raider. As a heavy support slot, it feels kind of bad.
Yeah.
Especially since you can't do a squadron of them. Like, if you could squadron them, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to make a big, stupid squad of, like, a multi-melta Land Raider and a plasma Land Raider, because it's just... People... I don't know if you remember these days. Like, maybe, like, 7, 8 years ago, people loved to just build Land Raiders with random weapons on them. Just because they could. Like, you remember that phase, right? Like, Bolter, Chainsword, Daku, you'd always people post up, here's my Land Raider with weapon X, Y, Z attached to it.
No, that's legitimate. There was a legitimate thing where people were just... there's a lot of variants, and that's probably part of why, is because GW saw what people were doing to these things, just throwing whatever the hell they wanted on them. But I really do like it. I do like it a lot, although taking up your heavy support... Although I'm not a big fan of some of the giant robots, I don't also like the looks, so... I don't mind taking this with some of the Moirax. I think that's a kind of fun heavy support.
I'm just salty because Custodians can't take Land Raiders, to be quite honest.
No, they can't.
Yeah, I'm still shocked about that because it was
I have no idea.
Picture announcing Custodians for Heresy.
I know. No, we know.
Hey, one day.
I would buy. I literally said I'd buy a Land Raider.
Dan. I will let you.
I would buy immediately. Thunderhawk and Land Raider. Thunderhawk and Land Raider are my 2 immediate purchases if they come out for Custodians. Thunderhawk being number 1. If Thunderhawk comes out with it's immediate. It's immediate. That'd be my first Thunderhawk.
So if you're listening to GW, if you got spare Thunderhawks you want to sell,
bro.
Do it.
Immediately,
I know
like,
that.
it
Do
made my
it,
cart
and
yesterday.
then guess what? Later on, you can remove it, and he'll
Oh, I'd be
still own
so.
that Thunderhawk.
Oh, I'd be
I'll
so
make it.
ready.
I'll make it worse. They'll allow them in Custodes. Dan will buy one in resin, and then like 6 months later, they'll announce the plastic one.
You know what? If that's the sacrifice that needs to occur to get that in plastic, it's worth it.
Yeah, well, I'll say that's worth it. I'll take the bullet. I'll take the L. I'll take the L so everyone gets the W.
Yeah,
All right.
we all
What a
win.
hero!
I'm all
What
right
a
with
hero!
Oh, the Macroid. Oh, man. They don't sell that anymore, do they?
that. No,
Nope.
it's not
Oh,
listed. I
my
was looking for it.
God. Okay, look it up on Google. This is the coolest
It's actually one of the
tank,
newer
period.
models too for Mechanicum, which is the
I'm so
wildest
surprised.
part.
100%
So the
surprised.
Macrocarid was the replacement for the Land Raider as the
Yes.
Mechanicum army list evolved. So we had the Land Raider, and then went, okay, like Land Raiders, we could do better.
Oh.
We could make our own special.
Right?
We'll make this thing, the Macrocarid.
And it's big, too. It's actually bigger than what you look like in the what it looks like in
Well,
the picture,
no,
by the way.
so it
It's
looks
big.
huge, and here's why it looks
Okay.
huge. When you take a look at this picture, and this one, I'll try to throw this one up for people as well. Take one of their Trios or some of their other vehicles, and just make it wider. It
Yep.
is that, but rather than the tracks being inbuilt, the tracks are attached to the side, like
Yes.
fully in their own armored compartments.
Oh,
And
yeah.
those tracks are wide. They're like Baneblade tracks.
Yes,
And the
thing
front
looks
of
huge.
it, the guns on the front, it's such a cool damn vehicle. And I hate
It's
the fact
proud.
that they
Makes
get it.
you think of like one of those giant horned beetles.
Yes. Yes. It's such
Oh,
a
like
good
a
looking
stag
vehicle.
beetle.
Yeah, those guys.
All right, I'll talk about this one since. All right, so Macrocarid, I just say Macroid. That's not how you're supposed to say it, but the Macrocarid Explorator is 320 points, so it's 100
Very
more
expensive.
points. Yes, it is movement 10, so it's actually slower than the Land Raider. Ballistic skill 4, so that's the same. All around 14, HP 5, transport capacity 26.
That's because you're fitting 10 guys in
It's
each
a
wheel
Spartan.
well.
20 casual 26. You want to fit well,
Yeah,
it can't be
let's say
10
it's a Spartan
Myrmidons.
level.
Yeah, it's thick. It has 2 hull mounted front las cannons and 2 front mounted one hull mounted Mauler bolt cannon. It's an assault vehicle, which is another reason why the Macrocarid was so amazing, by the way. Power of the machine spirit, smoke launchers. It has an access point on each side, so it's not a front, it's only on the sides. And very much like the Land Raider, it is very convertible. So you can exchange the Mauler bolt cannon for a Culverin, multi-melta, twin-linked plasma fusel, twin-linked IRAD cleanser, another las cannon, conversion beamer, and a graviton imploder. But if you really want, you can exchange for 20 point. Well, you can exchange its front mounted las cannons for two twin linked Mauler bolt cannons, two twin linked las cannons, okay, or two irradiation
one.
engines. Yep, 2 irradiation engines for 20 points.
I wanted
It's-
this tank for that exact reason. 'cause
Oh
just-
my god,
Yes,
so good.
such a W.
18. Oh my god. 18-inch flamer at AP3 shooting out the front, and it's torrent. Go home. And it looks the coolest, in my opinion. It is one of the cooler looking options. There's let me see if there's, oh yeah, it does have it on Google.
Yeah, you're able to
It's
find it.
actually what the stock model came with. The irradiation engines. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why every picture of one has them. You know, like how every picture of the Mark 6s had plasma pistols and not bolt pistols on the Sergeant?
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, no. I'm so depressed that this thing doesn't exist anymore. It actually hurts my soul.
It is a shame because it is of their tanks, it's the one I like the look the best of. Because again, when it has some similarities, obvious similarities to some of their, when you take a look at pretty much their other 2 vehicles. But this one, it just looks a lot better. It's a lot wider. Like I said, when it's offset, it kind of fits a little bit more of, I don't know, to me, a tank. So, no, I really do like this one. It is a shame that it's not a thing. I guess that's why it's in Legacies and not the main book.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately
I
means it's
literally
probably not coming
don't
back.
know. So this is me. Maybe GW listens. I would love to know why GW discontinued it. Because it's not like people didn't buy it.
So
I
I'm
saw
looking at the
people-
model. and trying to figure it out myself. I think it has to. So usually when something like appears and vanishes that fast, it's some sort of casting issue, right?
Yes.
Because just like it's always a production.
Okay, I'm
But I don't
listening.
know how this model breaks down.
Oh, I
but
have
it
the instructions
could
right
be
here. Hold on.
that bad.
I actually
it could
so
be that
yeah.
it had like severe issues either with like filling the mold properly, or maybe like even beyond the legendary Forge World quality control of warping potentially.
Lol. So
Um,
to give you an idea, by the way, Steve,
yeah,
I think I'm agreeing with you here because I think I was talking with someone about this too. This is very weird. This is recent. We're casting. The hardest thing for casting is depth, right?
Absolutely.
yes,
That depth is
because
the hardest.
it's a shrinkage issue,
And
right?
actually, here,
Because
let
the
me. Is there a
larger
way?
a cross section is,
Save
the
image.
more that cross section is going to deform as the material cools down and
Yep.
shrinks.
Yes.
And since I have the Discord open, so because the way I'm looking at it, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, because I don't know. But here's like the instruction sheet. The tracks were all one piece.
Yeah, it's definitely a thickness
But
problem.
here's the thing: so was the but so is the Triaros. The Triaros
But that's
has very
thinner because think about where the
yeah, you're right. No, you're right. The Triaros is thinner.
And here's the other question:
and
Do
has
the
all the in
Triaros
cuts.
is it
Whereas
always
this, it's fully armored, so it has a
Yeah.
lot wider. Like you don't have the depth
Yeah.
to relieve the thickness
yeah
issues.
for the Triaros? Is it always fine those sides? Because Dan, I know you have some.
Yes.
Is there
No,
ever
they
a
were fine.
problem with
No, there
casting?
was
Mine
no
actually
warping.
came
Okay.
out great.
No, they weren't thick. They weren't the only but they're also multiple pieces. So the Triaros has its track piece, which is thick, but then you put like two inside. There's an outside piece and an inside piece. I don't know if that
Okay.
made any sense.
Yeah. No, I understand
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I built
So
enough
there
models
is.
to understand that.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh yeah.
It's hollowed, whereas this thing isn't, and it's the
See, I'm
lack
looking
of
at the.
being hollowed that causes
Yeah.
such an issue with
Oh
casting.
my god! I found the
Potential.
picture of the tracks. The gates are so. Oh my god!
Oh no!
Look how thick. That's so stupid. Oh my god! How do I give this to you guys?
But
Hold on.
yeah,
Post in the
that's
Discord.
if I had to guess, that's where it went wrong,
There.
which is a
Those
shame
are the
definitely.
gates.
because
Those are the
it's a
gates, guys.
Yeah.
now
So,
remember this thing is an inch thick at like its thinnest point,
yeah.
and then you look at that gate. Good God!
Get the chainsaw.
No, I agree.
Yeah, yay
All right.
manufacturing. But yeah, so that's it's a really cool model. I didn't love it at first, but it grew on me, and then as soon as I was like, yeah, I like this, it's gone.
Yeah. Like I say, it's obvious that it was definitely a casting sort of issue. Because keep in mind, for anyone who doesn't know these sorts of things, it is also exceptionally expensive to make molds and all of that. That's the biggest cost. Now, I'm not saying that GW doesn't, charge a bit more than other people, of course. But your biggest cost, the reason why you have to have that, is because it costs you tens of thousands of dollars or more to make molds. My guess is, like you said, yeah, they were having weird warping issues. The molds weren't working well. The molds could break. That's why some models essentially go out of print for a while, because the molds break. And then do they have to make brand new molds, go through that process? So there's probably a lot of that at play, unfortunately, for this very cool looking model that you can't find now.
Yeah. Shame.
But
Bring it
Yeah.
out in plastic. You won't do it. You won't do it. No balls.
Oh my god! Could you imagine if it comes down to? Oh my god! Don't do this to me, GW, please.
it won't. Not anytime soon.
Oh, it definitely won't. It definitely won't.
No. All right. That puts us on to the tank
The
battery.
next very customizable unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Essentially.
So this is something that was accessible only to a specific sub-faction of Mechanicum, which was the Ordo Reductor list. So we had
That's
the Automata, we had the Cybernetica, and then we had this little appendix for the Ordo Reductor. And this was their baby, right? So for this 150 points base, you get movement 10, ballistic skill 4.
1 second. Stop.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
Sorry about
start
that.
it.
There was a weird little thing that happened because I accidentally hit a button.
I
Go
was going
ahead.
to restart the entry. Yeah. So Order Reductor, Artillery Tank Battery. For 150 points, you're going to get a movement 10, ballistic skill 4, armor 11, 11, 10, hull points 3. So you got a Rhino. That's a little bit slower. Why you're spending 150 points on a Rhino? Because it comes with a turret-mounted whirlwind missile launcher and a twin-link bolter and smoke launchers. What could we do about that? So we can add 2 more tanks to the squadron for 125 each. Okay. We can then exchange the turret-mounted whirlwind missile launcher for one of the following. You could take a centrally mounted demolisher cannon for 10 points, or a magna laser destroyer for the same points. You could take a turret-mounted Gravis melta-cannon array for 20 points. If I remember correctly, is that the one on the Leviathan? Oh, no, that's on the next
No,
page.
that's a cyclonic melta lance.
Okay. Maybe we should go one by one through this, the stats. You can take an Earthshaker cannon, you can take a Medusa Siege Mortar, you can take a Mars Colossus Bombard. It's an artillery tank. Going through the weapon options there, stat-wise, you have the Whirlwind Launcher that has 3 firing modes. You have the HE, the AP, and the AA missile. For the high explosive version, you have Strength 6, AP 4 at 40-inch range, Ordnance 1 barrage, and a 5-inch blast. Cool. For the armor piercing, you have Strength 7, AP 4, 3-inch blast, reaching 4 up, Ordnance 1 barrage. And for the AA missile, you're getting Ordnance 1 Twinlington Skyfire on a Strength 7, AP 3 package. So it's, it gives you the Mechanicum. I think it's only anti-air in the game.
The only one we've seen, yeah.
Yeah. So that's neat, I guess. Then we have, our Demolisher Cannon, same as the Space Marines get. Same exact disappointment. Earthshaker Cannon.
Wait, hold on, pause. You shit on the Demolisher
Cannon.
Cannon. It's still strength 12, but
it's AP
brutal
3.
3. But it's brutal
AP 3
3.
rending 6. It's not going to kill a Terminator. It can't even kill a Rhino, Dan. Yeah.
It's not a good gun, unfortunately.
It takes 3 Demolisher Cannons to kill 1 Rhino. Nah, fam.
The problem is what you want to fire a Demolisher at, it's ill-equipped to do. Because it's AP3 to a vehicle, I can't explode it. With Strength 12, I'd like to hit a vehicle. I'm not going to do anything to it. And at a small blast, I'm going to hit 2, maybe 3 Terminators. I'm going to kill 2 or so Terminators. And that's assuming my blast doesn't scatter too far, because it is a small blast. Much easier to scatter.
Yup. It's not good, guys. Just move on.
Nope.
Earthshaker cannons, same as the Marines get for their basilisks. Not impressive. Strength 9's cool, but it's only AP 4. I mean, Shred is cool, I guess. Large Blast, at least, yay. But it's AP 4. It's not killing Marines. Medusa Mortar, also AP 4. But at least you're rending 6. It's not killing Marines.
Nope.
The Mars Colossus Bombard, range 12 to 72, which I assume means has a minimum range.
Yeah, it's a minimum range.
It has a Strength 7, AP 4, Ordnance 1, Barrage, okay. It's large blast 5 inches, pinning and ignores cover. They give such a cool name. Got you all hyped up, and then it's only Strength 7.
So of those ones right there, I like it better than some of the ones because at least it ignores cover. Barrage, you don't have to worry about the side, and pinning as well. So it's I'm not saying you should necessarily take it, but it's not a terrible option.
But the other two bombards are also pinning, though. The Earthshaker and Medusa. And at least they get the instant death versus Marines, whereas this...
I guess it's just the cover. If cover's a real problem.
And it's never going to be, because it's base 6 up, 5 up for a ruin, 4 up if you have a bonus. Generally, you don't really care about cover this edition. Like, you didn't care last edition, you really don't care this edition.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so those all sucked.
The more you talk, yeah.
Yeah, so those all sucked. Next up, we have the Magna Laser Destroyer. This is the good gun. This is the one you always take on your Vindicators. Because you're getting 36-inch range, you're getting Strength 9, AP 1, Ordnance 3, and Twin Linked, and Extra Shock 6 up.
Yeah.
You take that.
Yep. Yeah.
For only 10 more points, or 160 base, 135 for the extra tanks, you go with that.
Yep.
But in case 3 shots was not enough shots for you, you can instead take a Melta Cannon array. You're going to go down to 24-inch range and strength 8, but you keep that nice AP 1. You go up to heavy 4. You get Armor Bane at half range because Armor Bane Melta, and it's twin linked. So you lose the Exo Shock. gain the armor bane.
I still like the Laser Destroyer more because you have to get within 12 to use the armor bane.
Yup. Laser
Yeah,
Destroyer is the optimal choice.
Yep.
The Laser Destroyer just becomes what you find is if your concern is armor 14s, the Laser Destroyer, not great. Again, because you have a shot at it, but not a good shot. The Melta Cannon array becomes a lot better. But against just about everything else, the other option does you quite a bit good, especially for the extra range.
You've heard him play Salamanders, the Melta Cannon's objectively worse.
Okay, yes. That's very true. Yes. In that case, it's also objectively worse. Or
But,
if, you tend to see, I don't know. No, I guess that
So
really
here's the
wouldn't make a difference
problem. We're already saying the Laser Destroyer is what you want to go with, and then the Melta Cannon's another 10 points on an already overcosted chassis. Because remember, this is only front armor 11. It's not mounted on a Vindicator chassis. It's a basic Rhino chassis. It's squishy.
Yeah, you don't want to make this thing too expensive.
Yeah. And then, aside from that, all those primary gun options, you could also take a hull-mounted heavy bolter or heavy flamer. Or you can also take a hunter killer missile, a dozer blade, and a searchlight. It's this unit exists. The Melta Cannon's on a turret at least. Maybe that's why it's another 10 points. Get the 360. But this unit's probably one you leave at home in this edition, unless you desperately need anti-air.
Yeah, if
you gotta be desperate.
If you like running specific things, if you're doing Ordo Reductor and you want to run something that is specific to you, sure. Something with your name on it. It's not that you can't run it otherwise, but something with your name on it. But the problem, the biggest problem is the cost related to its armor. Like I said, This is a Rhino for quite a bit of points with potentially a very good gun, but your opponent knows that. So if you either can't hide it or aren't going first, I'm going to kill this thing.
Yep.
And at 11, you figured, let's assume you're playing a big point game or a reasonably big point game, say 3,000 points or so. I'm going to have something with, say, a last cannon or something like that can reach across the board. I hit you with that, even if I don't necessarily kill you on the first shot. Maybe I will. But if I don't, if I make you snap shoot or anything like this, I don't care really about your guns anymore. I can wait an extra turn.
You could penetrate this tank with the bigger Volkites.
Yes.
The strength 7 ones, right? Because they go up to strength 7.
You're right.
Or even the strength 6 ones.
More likely a strength 6 because those are some of the ones like the Culverins where you're going to get 5 shots a guy. My squad that gets 50 shots, I'll kill this tank. I'll get enough 6s. You can't
respond because it's a tank. And
that's the other thing.
Like none of your weapons are return fireable.
Yeah, the biggest
none of them.
That's probably honestly its biggest downside is the fact that it really can't do anything back. So if you put it where I can see you, it's dead.
Yep. One of the barrage profiles for the Whirlwind, the high explosive one, is only strength 6, so you could use that. Shoot back a strength 6. Shouldn't be taken anyway.
It's not, you don't want that for this tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's. Don't take this one, guys. It was cool last edition, sort of. Even then, it
honestly, it just suffers from
last edition. You got an armor bonus if you took something besides the Whirlwind.
Yeah,
and they didn't do that this edition, and they really needed to.
Yeah, honestly, it sucks because it kind of suffers from. Listen, I understand why they got rid of a lot of the AP from Blast. I'm not stupid, but this suffers the most because it hits large blast at AP4. Okay. It doesn't do anything.
No.
It just doesn't do anything.
I mean, if you're playing Mechanicum and you're worried, to me, that it's too good, here's a nice way to take a unit, take points, and play down. Because unfortunately, you are absolutely playing down.
Yup.
All right, that's enough time spent on mediocrity, which unfortunately that is mediocrity. Yeah. So let's take a look at what Reductor can do with a Minotaur battery. So what's this guy look like? He is much more expensive, 280 points, so we're almost double. But move 8, Ballistical 4, front 13, so already alone, and rear 13, which is funny, related to side armor 12. That to me is hilarious. 4 hull points. It is a slow vehicle. It is reinforced. So you're not really moving this thing well at all. What's funny is if someone gets in the close combo with you, you hit back armor. The side is actually better, but you don't get that choice. Oh, lowest is it now? It's not back?
Yes, it has a special rule to address that.
Oh,
so if
okay.
you don't know the Minotaur model, it is the Malkador backwards with a double Earthshaker cannon in the back and a giant blast shield.
Yeah, it does have the rules. Open crew compartment. If you're hitting in close combat, hit the lowest facing. Okay, that's so weird then that they gave it back of 13. But I understand because it's heavy in the front.
Because you drive it backwards.
Less than back.
That's why.
All right. It has a center line rear mounted twin linked Earthshaker cannon and smoke launchers. And the special rule is that has that open crew compartment. You can take more of them. You can take an additional one for 235. You can put some front mounted hunter killer missiles or searchlights. So for the weapon, and you take the searchlight, and here's why. The weapon, it's 240 inches, so you hit wherever you want. That's not a problem. No minimum, which is very interesting actually on this one. Strength 9 AP4. It's Ordnance 1 barrage. It's a large blast, has shred and pinning. For 280 points, why doesn't it have rend?
Because
or at least twin link. Is the double? Oh, never mind. It's twin. Okay. The weapon is twin link on the profile. Okay, never mind. We're good.
Yeah, because of shred. But shred, and it is actually twin linked itself. My apologies. The word gear part. Why isn't it rending at least?
Because
I'm spending near 300 points.
The people who did this didn't play test it.
Because the Medusa is rending. This is an Earthshaker. Duh.
Okay, then it should do something else crazy.
It should shake the earth.
I'm very underwhelmed.
It should have shell shock, if at the very least. The Earthshaker
series
weapons.
You got to have
shell shock like
2. I'm spending near 300 points.
I'm not saying this is bad. I'm saying all the Earthshaker weapons are bad.
Oh, okay, yes.
So all the Earthshakers should get shell shock too. And then this one should maybe get AP3 base because it's 300 points. You could afford to give it AP3, I promise.
It easily,
because everyone's bringing Terminators everywhere anyway.
Yeah, I'd have give it the AP, sure,
or give it a 7-inch blast. Like it has 2 barrels, it should have more explosion size.
Nah, fuck it, do the 10-inch.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah,
or give it the cloverleaf one.
Yes,
put that down with like 3 shots on the cloverleaf or something. Like it just
anything would be better. Anything would be better on this tank.
Yeah, it's a shame because you're looking at nearly 300 points. This is one of your heavy support, which for this army is a fought for choice. One of the things originally that I was like, ooh, your rear armor is really good. It might be tough for them to get through. Okay, you're hitting side 12. It's still not, nothing to sneeze at, but I'm going to probably hit very well with this gun, yes. But you're going to get your armor. Marines, yeah, some weird things won't, but Marines and all are going to get their armor. Anything in Terminator armor is going to get to reroll it. If you're, say, Cataphracti, I should say. Maybe not all of them, but Cataphractis are getting to reroll it. Anyone who's heavy does.
Yay, Breachers. Yay, heavy support squads.
Your Shred, which, okay, that's nice for those random ones that you roll. Pinning, sure, but you don't have anything that helps your pin. And at 5-inch blast, I'm probably only hitting 1 unit. Maybe I'll hit 2 sometimes, depending on how it kind of moves and scatters. But I'm probably only hurting 1 unit. I'm maybe killing a couple guys, and I'm spending 300 points to do that. I'm not doing anything else cool. No, this thing needs to have been AP3 with rending. You do that, now it could actually do some work. Now it could actually hurt some people, because right now it's not going to do anything. That's a shame, because Reductor I like the most, and their stuff is super, super disappointing. All right. Very briefly, I'll run through this because I made the notes for it before, so we'll do this very briefly. So they get a variety of knights. So now we go to Lords of War. The first part of the Lords of War are various knights. So they get a Margera, they get a Styrax, they get the Atropos, and they get the Asterius.
All which we talked about.
Yep. So we've talked about it. Here's the differences, because I went through and I checked them all. Differences are they all get Feel No Pain 6 up. Sorry, it will not die, my apologies. It will not die 6 up. It's about 10 to 15 points per which one. The Atropos gets a flare shield now for the same points that it is for the Questoris list. And the Asterius is unchanged. So the Asterius already had it will not die. That's it. Those are the changes. If you're really interested in hearing more thoughts about those knights, we did a whole episode discussing knights. The only thing I would ask is there, since you guys run this more, is there any of them that when you look at this army, you're like, ooh, that's the knight I want? Or is it
It'd
just
be the Porphyrion.
that's not one of their
Usually
options?
It's the Steerix, but rules
Yeah, or
wise,
I call it
absolutely
Porphyrion.
not.
Sorry, it's the Asterius. It's the Asterius. Apologies.
Okay. Yeah, no, he's the coolest one. Because he's got the giant heavy convergent beamers.
Yep.
All right, so that covers knights. Because again, we did a whole episode about those, and there's very, very little difference. And if you have a knight, it's a great way to fill up points in this list.
The
That
goofy
leaves
take is
us.
next.
That leaves us with two things left.
The goofball.
The first tank is amazing.
It's so goofy. Stop that, Dave. You cannot
When
sit
your
here and tell me
opponent
the
asks,
robots.
How
Wait.
many points
Look-
you want to play in our game? You say yes. Bust out these tanks.
But like
Wait.
in terms of looks, you insult the robots, but you like this tank.
Okay.
Yes.
So give me half a second. Let me put down a timestamp, and then I'll tell you why I like this tank.
Because it is rimmed.
Oh, get
Now,
out of here! with
the other one, the Aktaeus, that one, no. Well, okay, it's fine. At the end of the
It's a
day,
siege
it's
drill.
fine. But it looks kind of dumb because okay, the Aktaeus looks stupid because it looks like a termite assault drill that they put on wheels.
So the
I
wheels
don't
is
see
actually just the
point.
launch
Side point:
platform.
you can deploy it without the wheels. So you could. There's two different. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Okay. When we took a look at the Ulator, I do like this because it's essentially just it's a gun platform.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's all it really is. It is nothing more than a simple gun platform. Those are things that we've had historically. Through time we have these sorts of things. To me, it actually kind of fits that sort of look. And reading on the gun it has, it's great. So it's weird and crazy, but no, actually this one I do like. But I did just briefly talk about another thing. So if someone else wants this cool weapon,
I'll take the Sonic.
Nah,
Go for it. It's amazing.
Dan, you hate this model.
I do hate it, but I know you love the siege drill, so you're going to take the siege drill. It's siege drill plus. No, I'll take the Ordinatus. So the Ordinatus, for those who don't know, by the way, fun little side fact about the Ordinatus. The Ordinatus is just one weapon. Yeah, fun little side fact. It takes the sonic weapon, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, someone's going to probably yell at me, but I think you could also take a Warlord volcano cannon back in the day.
So we talked about this. There was actually another model.
Yes.
The Ordinatus, and now here the name. I said it earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember what it was.
No, you weren't here at the time. Me and Steve were talking about it. Yeah, there is a
Okay,
different
good.
one.
It has the belt.
Okay, it is different then.
like a Warlord has. There's
Yes.
the Ulator, the Aktaeus, and the Sagittarium.
Okay,
Yep.
got it. But I think it's all the same chassis, is it not?
No. So
Is
the
it bigger?
Ulator and the Sagittarium had the same lower base chassis.
Okay.
The Aktaeus has a very different assembly.
Yeah.
No, I meant like the Sagittarius, but the
stats-wise, it's the
Sagittarius
same.
had the volcano, right?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
The volcano cannon.
Oh yes, that's what I'm
and
saying. Yes, the
Sonic
same.
one,
Yeah, okay, so I was right. All right, we're moving on. So it's 1,075 points. So who wants to do on math on how many points you have to play to actually include this thing?
So the first number is going to be a 4. The second number is going to be a 6.
3. It's 4,300.
Sorry, 3. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can take this in a casual 4,300 point game. You get one of them. It's moving 10 BS4, 14, 13, 13, 14 hull points. It's super heavy. Yeah.
That's a lot of whole
It's got Reactor Meltdown Major. I always forget what the major one does. Someone looked that up as I look at Reactor Meltdown Major. It's got reinforced structure. It will not die 6-up. It's got one hull-mounted Sonic Destructor, which is honestly the only thing you care about. It does have a rear-mounted Volkite Culverin, and it's got 2 sponson-mounted Volkite Culverins, but who the hell cares? And it does have an Ordinatus Dispersion Shield. So I will talk about that before I talk about the gun, though, because that actually probably does matter.
Yeah.
So
For the major, very quickly, the major.
Go ahead.
When it's destroyed, the hits that happen are caused by cash out damage. Their destroyer attacks at AP2. So that this
Yeah.
wrecks your day if you're anywhere near it when it blows up.
Yikes. I cannot find the dispersion. I bet you the shield is under armor.
It's
No,
way
it-
more
it-
it's
than-
under Ordinatus. I have it right here. Where is it?
It's in your
so
book,
that's
'cause I don't
their
have it.
transport bay. I did see it.
Okay.
Where did I read it?
H126, Ordinatus Dispersion Shield.
There
There it
you
is.
go.
Yes,
Thank
it is under war gear.
Okay, ready?
you. Yep.
Yep, go
Go
ahead.
for it.
For the duration of the first game turn, all shooting attacks made against the model with an Ordinatus Dispersion Shield that target the model's front or side armor values, or any indirect shooting, such as those with Broad Special Rule, are reduced by -2 strength, and any explodes results on the damage table are ignored. Basically, while you're rolling up to the table and on that first turn, you got these really cool shields, and then they kind of flicker out and fade. Because they are power intensive as all hell to run. It was like, okay, we're going to turn these off. And fire the gun instead.
All right.
Basically.
So, I'm not going to go over the Volkite because, honestly, who cares?
That doesn't
Sonic
matter.
Destructor. Yeah, Sonic Destructor. Sonic Destructor is range 72 inches, strength 6, AP 2. It is Destroyer 1. It is Large Blast. It is Sonic Wave, which we'll talk about. Pinning, Armor Bane, Murderous Strike 5 up, and ignores
Sure.
cover. So you might be saying, oh, it's just a single large 5-inch blast. Who the hell cares? You know, Dan, it's so stupid.
But
Well, Sonic Wave.
you don't have to bury the lead every time you talk about something.
I
You know
will
that,
bury
right?
the lead. When making a shoot attack with this weapon, place a large blast so that it touches the front toe of the firing model. Instead of scattering this blast marker, move the template in a direct line away from the following model, traveling in any direction with the weapon's 45-degree arc until its maximum range is reached or the template leaves the battlefield. All models that the template passes over suffer a single automatic hit. Flyers are also hit if the template passes over their base. Should a model with a Knight, Titan, Super Heavy Vehicle, Building, or Fortification unit type be hit by this, increase the strength of the attack to 10.
And they're auto hit.
And
That's
it's auto hit.
great.
It's just it's a large blast.
goes,
You shoot it in a line, and anything under it gets hit with strength 6, AP 2, casual murderous strike 5 up. You can't take cover against it. It's also armor bane, and it's pinning. And it's Destroyer 1, by the way, I should point out. So Destroyer, for those who don't know, because Destroyer, I think, changed from the last
It did.
edition,
Dramatically.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
very
Someone
different.
explain Destroyer. Good. Someone explain Destroyer. No
I
one
know
knows
it's
Destroyer.
changed. I don't remember what it does now.
Let me see if I have it in my cheat sheet. I might not. Maybe it's in my cheat sheet.
I
he
have it
says.
in the book.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep, go ahead.
Somewhere. Hold on. I thought I
Oh,
had it there.
why
Oh, you
gotta do
son of a
that?
gun. I stopped scrolling. All right, give me a second. Let me see if I can beat him
Yeah.
here.
But-
All right, so destroyer type weapons, because it's a type now, right?
yes.
Yes.
So destroyer types. When you roll for armor penetration, you roll 3 dice instead of 1 and discard the lowest. So you roll 3 dice, take the 2 highest. When
Okay.
you're rolling to
That's
penetrate
it?
a vehicle.
It doesn't
Oh,
auto
You
it's
can
do
still
more
charge
rolls.
after shooting it. If you inflict a glance on your penetrating hit, it does D3 hull points of damage instead of 1.
There it is. Okay.
And when it inflicts wounds, it does D3 instead of 1.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So even if you hit multiple
I think this is
model,
a
it's
top
decent.
pick. This is a great counter selection against Horus Lupercal Ascended. Like if you're all there drafting your 1,000-point super heavies, this is a great counter draft to Horus
Yes.
Lupercal.
Listen, if you're playing Apocalypse and it's a 4,300 point game, absolutely bring this. This is hilarious.
I wish I had the storage for one of these things.
Yeah,
So-
it's
so
also
the
massive.
average game is at 3,000 points. This isn't that much beyond.
No, it's not.
You know, when it's all said and done, I'm not saying you're going to play these size games constantly, but it's not like, you know, when you think of 40K and then you think of APOC, this actually is play a bit bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
this is
think
such a
about
good
it,
gun.
this is you just take your 3,000-point army and you add this.
Yes.
I am somewhat mad that you can't take. Yeah, there's the Sagittarium's not in here, right? Or the
No,
Sagittarius.
they didn't put
It's
Sagittarius.
not here and it's not in Legends
So,
either. But
if-
they
so
did,
little-
they made the model.
So,
Yeah.
side fact, if you really, really, really want to laugh, the volcano cannon is way worse. You would think a Warlord volcano cannon would be amazing.
It's a blast. You can't do
Actually,
it.
way worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No. This weapon is great.
yeah.
It's not quite as good against, you know, maybe certain heavier vehicles because it only gets the strength 10 versus super heavy vehicles. But if you got infantry anywhere nearby, you're just going to wreck their day.
Don't
'Cause
forget,
it
you're
auto
rolling
hits 'em all.
3 dice dropping the lowest. So that strength 6 is averaging a plus
11?
roughly a
No, plus
plus
7.
9.
Plus,
No, because it's 3 dice dropping
'cause
the
you're
lowest.
doing
On
out the
2
3,
dice,
yes.
it's a 7.
oh yes.
Adding
Yes.
that extra die adds in about another 2, I think.
Should, yeah. Again, I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm not aiming for your vehicles necessarily when I'm doing this. I'm cutting through infantry, maybe light vehicles, but like I'm not aiming to take out your land raiders with this thing. I'm
Let's say,
aiming for all
Dave,
the
it's
rest of
okay.
the stuff.
You don't need to.
You don't
aim.
have to
You just
aim.
point.
No,
you just
but-
point and
You
you
go
get
that
Yes,
direction.
but here's the thing you have to keep in mind. It is essentially 5 inches across. So you're hitting one section. This vehicle is not going to be in a way that you can this isn't old Skaven days where your thing is just going to go straight down the line and
I
wreck
remember
the
that.
whole army.
Yep.
You are aiming somewhere, and early on, you're probably not hitting that many things, depending on how they space out. So I'm looking for mass damage. I'm looking for hitting as much infantry as I can, and maybe clipping a light vehicle.
I'm telling you right now, I'm terrified of this as a custodian player. I am
Well, yeah,
physically disgusted at
causing
this.
the D3 damage, and it's at AP too. It goes
Oh,
straight
yeah.
to your invul, and it's going to be enough to kill multiple custodians.
And also Murderous Strike 5 up, so in case you didn't even need the D3.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. If you happen to roll well enough, it's just going to kill some guys out anyway. It is both better than the Volcano Cannon one, and it looks better because I see you posted the other one, and that one. Okay, that one looks fine.
It's
that
more
one looks
basic.
It's upside
Yes.
down. It's also upside down, which annoys me.
Compared to
literally
the
the
Warlord,
Warlord.
yeah.
It has to.
Yeah,
How else is it going to attach?
They could have literally okay.
So the barrel's the same way, but like the
Yes.
underslung part flipped.
Yes,
Fine.
but that to me makes sense. I'm fine with that. That looks more like an actual weapon we would use now, kind of thing. But I like the other one for it being both a little bit futuristic, but still retaining some
The wub
a
wub.
bit of a normal.
I love the wacky sci-fi of it.
Yes.
It's
I
insane.
love this thing.
It's also massive. Like for people who don't, this thing is. I've seen it on the table. I want to. Oh man, I wish I knew the actual size. But it is exorbitantly large.
So when you take a look at it, not knowing the exact size, when I look at it, the back part looks to be about the Trios wheel wells, and the front. So either the front or the back is essentially the Trios wheels. So this thing is almost like 2 of those back to back.
Oh, here we go.
That's what it looks like to me.
I got you. Because you know what? Here's the fun part. Google. It is. Oh, it's in not
It's
freedom
about
units.
like
36
350
centimeters long.
millimeters.
Oh wait, is this
Yep.
epic? No.
No.
Wait, what's-
no,
No, that's right.
not if you're 36 centimeters.
It's going to be about.
So 36 centimeters long, 18 centimeters wide.
Americans learn the metric system live.
Oh my god!
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
So no, here it is.
Thank you.
1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So
No,
this
I don't
thing
want
is
to do
about,
math.
this thing is about 14 inches long. It's a bit
Yep.
over a foot.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a big model.
And
I
it's
see the
ribbed
other
for your
picture you posted
pleasure.
for us.
It's ribbed for your pleasure.
There you go.
Oh my god! Look at the fucking. It's so
All right.
stupid.
Like realistically, you're going to get to use it probably very rarely if you haven't owned this. But if you own it, I would make sure I play games where I can
If
take
you
something
own
big
it,
enough for this.
you take people hostage and say, we're playing Warhammer, Horus Heresy.
I would play against this. I don't care if I lose.
4,300 points.
I don't give a shit if I lose. I want to play against this. Like I
And
love
here-
playing big games like this.
Yeah, and we know.
I'm
Here's
sure
the other
you
thing
want to
could
play
always
against
do.
it, Dan. You're not going to get killed in one shot with your Myrmidons because they have 4 wounds. This only does D3.
Yep.
It's also Murder Strike 5, but yeah, that's still stupid. I hate. Oh god, Myrmidon's
And here's the thing: if you actually have one of these and it felt unbalanced, your opponent just takes extra. You don't have to play equal points. Hey, they get more. There you go.
at 4,300 points. I think it'll be balanced because at that point you're also
There's
including,
enough
like, war
stuff
hounds.
you could do. At
Yeah,
3K.
exactly.
We're going up to 4K. It's only you only have.
I would love to see what is it? 14 wounds,
Whole points,
10 or a whole point. Sorry,
and you're
10
not taking
Meltas.
it out the first turn.
No, okay.
You
So let's say
can.
an
You have to do it
outflanking.
14 individual hits.
Yeah, let's say an outflanking Melta,
Which is not going in the
on-
first turn. Then
No, I know. I'm not saying the first
Only
turn.
armor 16 on turn 1 in the front.
I know. So
I believe
on the
you.
side, let's say you get lucky.
Okay.
10 Meltas come in.
But before you go through the long diatribe figuring that, yes, there's ways to kill it. It's 14 whole points. You'll kill it,
No, I don't think
but
you
you're
will.
not going
That's the
to.
funny part.
It's going to fire off a few times before it dies.
I don't even think you can kill it with like a full Melta squad. That's what I'm trying to say.
You need a lot of explosions. If you get enough explosions, you absolutely
Yeah.
could, but on average dice, no, you don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say because 10 equals 7 hits, which equals
Multi-melters are twin linked.
no meltas,
Quick
melta guns,
little
melta
lore
guns.
tidbit.
Oh.
This is one of the smaller Ordinatus engines.
Yeah.
This would be
All
a
right.
Minotaurus.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, let's. We're not gonna have you math hammer. All right, Steve, you get to talk about the last thing here.
Yes, the drill. So
See,
we have
I told you
next
you'd like
up,
it.
and finally, we have the Ordinatus Aktaeus for 800 points, so a little bit cheaper. You can field it in a 3,600 point game. It has movement 0, ballistic skill 4, armor 14, 13, 13, hull points 14, transport capacity 42. So you can fit 10 Myrmidons in it. Oh, sorry, no, that's 20 Myrmidons, isn't it?
No. Well, it's bulky 3.
No, the bulky
That's 10
3,
Myrmidons and then 12 friends beyond that. Nice. It's a super heavy transport. You get a centerline mounted Terrabrax rocket battery and an Aktaeus class seismic excavator macro drill. It has it will not die, reactor meltdown major, reinforced structure, subterranean assault, hell yeah, and terrestrial disregard.
Fun little fact. Fun fact. I don't know why it has subterranean assault because terrestrial disregard literally just says instead of using the normal rules for subterranean assault. I don't know why they added that in, but maybe when we read it, I'll figure it out. But I remember reading that. I'm like, why did you even include it? Makes no sense. Anyway.
Well, no. This basically okay. So I'll cover it fast. So, subterranean assault. That's what the termite drills do. You deep strike. Afterwards, you cause a bunch of hits to things that are near you because instead of pinning them, you're like up in the earth beneath them. Instead of doing the normal thing, when this thing enters play with subterranean assault, you place a 10-inch blast marker entering the battlefield, one from an enemy model. So you subterranean assault with the other drills, but you do this instead of the normal drill damage.
Got it. Now I'm understanding. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a 10-inch marker, 1 inch from enemy models. Sorry, 1 inch from any enemy model, battlefield edge or piece of passable terrain, and then you scatter this 10-inch marker. Reminder, the markers will be smaller than the model is. If the final position with 1 inch of enemy model, battlefield edge or passable terrain, the controlling player's opponent may move that model to any position within 18 inches that is more than 1 inch away from enemy model, blah, 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 blah. Lots of words to say not a lot. Once the final position of the marker has been determined, the controlling player may place the model with the special rule on the battlefield so long as the center of the marker is underneath part of the model's hull and the model remains more than 1 inch away from enemy models. After the model has been placed, each fortification within 6 inches immediately suffers D6 Strength 10 AP2 hits, and nearby units suffer 1 Strength 10 AP2 hit for each model within 6 inches of the model. If you take 1 or more hits from it, you take a pinning chest. Not a wound, but a hit. Finally, the area under the blast marker is difficult and dangerous terrain for the rest of the battle.
Yeah, that's why they give it the extra, because it works like a subterranean assault.
Got it.
It does a lot bigger.
Okay.
And I'm not sure it's that good, honestly. Because if you think about it, obviously a 10-inch marker is 5 inches from the center, right?
Yes.
This model is probably going to be in that same 12 to 14 inch length.
Yes,
but it's not that wide.
No.
So you're losing a lot of potential threat, I guess, compared to the blast marker to the sides of the hull. So really you are pointing this at something and saying, this thing's getting wrecked.
Yeah. And the big thing on that is the center has to be on part of the hull. So you could have this thing kind of far in any direction related to that marker. I mean, you're getting strength 10 AP2 hits, so you're going to be hurting a bunch of things, but you're taking it because it can transport a bunch and maybe it can really do some damage when it comes in.
It's also really easy to screen it out because you need a 12-inch across circle of no models whatsoever.
But they get pushed 18 inches anyway, right?
True.
You can, yes. Well, you can push it.
Yeah, you push them 18 inches.
Push. That is true. I forgot about that.
So what about this rocket battery?
Okay, it's cool. I've decided it's cool. It's really cool.
Yes. I don't know. It's
want
cool. I this one I like less by the look, but it's cool.
So rocket battery
Yeah.
is on page 118. It's just 48 inches, strength 7, AP 5, 12 shots.
Okay. I mean,
It's-
you
yeah.
figure after it comes down, you can't do anything else with it anyway. So at least you got
Exactly.
something.
Well, hold on. It it does have the seismic excavator macro drill.
Okay.
Steve, you want to take this one or?
Oh god, what page is that going to be?
I got you.
Have
124.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you got it open, just do it. Dan.
I got you. So the Aktaeus seismic excavator macro drill grants the Ordinatus the transport bay special rule. So that's how it gets its transport bay. In
So that
addition,
means you can
once per battle,
transport what's it called? Monstrous creature thing. What's it called? Cybernetica and stuff.
Yes.
yeah,
They take up their wounds characteristic as slots, correct?
No,
that
they count it. No,
Twice.
it's like
Twice.
10. For dreadnoughts and stuff like that, it's all 10s.
Okay. In addition, once per battle, at the end of the control player's movement phase, the Ordinatus may employ its seismic excavator macro drill to cause a seismic shockwave. When this occurs, the Ordinatus Aktaeus cannot move for the rest of the battle. Wait, what? It doesn't move anyway. Rest of the battle, and it basically suffered an irreparable immobilized result on the vehicle damage table, although no hull point loss is suffered. Units may not choose to embark or disembark in the turn when the seismic shockwave ability is used, but may do so as normal in subsequent turns. So that at the beginning of each of the controlling player's shooting phases for the rest of the battle, after it has employed its seismic excavator macro drill to cause a seismic shockwave, pick a point within 6 inches of the front of the hull of the Ordinatus Aktaeus, right? All units, friendly or enemy, excluding the Aktaeus itself, within a number of each is equal to the current game turn number multiplied by 6 of that point suffer D6 strength of 7, AP 4 hits with the pinning special rule. Models of the vehicle are hit in the weakest armor facing, and should a model with the vehicle unit type suffer a penetrating hit, it immediately suffers crew shaking in addition to any other effects. So basically, to summarize all of that, you once you deploy it, you can't move, even though you can't move anyway. I don't know why they did that, but anyway, essentially, you pick a point 6 inches in front of the hull. Every turn, right in the shooting phase, you take the turn number, multiply it by 6, and everything there except the Aktaeus, right, takes D6 strength 7 AP 4 hits with pinning. So it goes 6, 12, so on and so forth. 18, 24.
18. I like how you stopped because you got uncomfortable with timesing more products with 6.
Exactly. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. I think the highest we'll get is 36, I think.
If you
6
do full
game
6
turns.
turns, yes.
Yeah.
And this thing isn't coming in necessarily right in the beginning anyway, so.
Also,
Doesn't it come in turn 1? Because of subterranean?
No.
No.
Subterranean assault you roll for. Drop pod assault you get in turn 1
What a shame.
Mhm.
Okay.
in a specific rate of war. But
Okay,
when it comes
so-
in, it's going to go straight to the big size. If it comes in late,
Yes.
yay!
It was crazy. So you pick the point 6 inches in front, and then it's within that. So it's a giant bubble that gets put further and further out.
Yup.
And so sooner or later, this will absolutely start hitting your own units. It is unavoidable.
Oh,
in
it's
every
guaranteed.
way. But early on, if you pop yourself near the enemy, then you could potentially do a bunch of damage to them. It's cool. This thing is actually very cool. I don't know how amazing its abilities are going to be, but being able to
Wait.
transport a literal ton of models.
Didn't this model, Steve, you might know this, didn't this model used to be on a tread? Like
It
treads?
is on a shred.
It is on treads.
So, okay, maybe I'm going crazy. Didn't this have the option last edition to either deploy it on treads or not?
That sounds possible.
So, if it's on treads, why
Now
is it
just
on
deep
movements?
strikes, and that's that.
Yeah.
It goes.
I'm looking. I got my old Mechanicum book.
slams
So
onto
yeah,
the board.
the old Mechanicum book, it had the option to be deployed on treads, which then it had guns on it that you can use, or it can be deployed. Did they just not? Like I'm looking,
Correct.
yeah, there's no tread. Okay.
Yeah, so those two Volkite culverins are just for show on the model.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
gonna say, it
that's-
has Volkites.
All you need is the bad dragon portion.
Yeah, that's so weird. Oh my god, 18 plus right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's weird that they got rid of that because that was kind of fluffy and cool. And also, by the way, the reason you put it on the drill is because it still transported stuff. but its gun got better,
Got it.
essentially.
All right, so that covers all the rest of what we had. So we'll go to closing thoughts. Either of you gentlemen can go ahead and start first.
I mean, honestly, it sucks because like the Thanatar and the Myrmidons started so strong, and even the tanks, the normal tanks started so strong, right? The Karacnos and the Krios, and then it just got like slightly more depressing as we went on.
Progressively more and more just
Yeah, because the Land Raider was fine, and the Macrocarid was fine too.
Macrocarid's fun. It's cool.
Yeah.
Then
we got to like I think it was the tanks essentially that the Myrmidon. Yeah.
I'd love to go down on a high note with the Ordinatus engines, even though we're missing one of the builds from back in the day.
Yeah, it to me, it's not that the other things were so bad. It's just that the first two things were so much better. They're over the top. That's all. Steve, any final thoughts?
So like Dan said, we started off on a pretty high note. Gradually, that note lowered, but then we got to end with some really cool Ordinatus engines. Personally, when I was originally planning my Mechanicum army for 1.0, I was really liking the idea of doing Krios Squadrons, and I almost did it. I had a choice between taking my money I saved up between a Krios and a Pain Train. I bought the Pain Train. I built the Pain Train. I'm looking at the model. It's bare resin right now, but it's still cool. The Krios are really cool. Honestly, if I dove into Mechanicum head first, I would probably keep with that idea and do the Krios, just because everyone does robots, and the Krios is still pretty solid. It definitely outperforms the equivalent units that Marines have, I think. In terms of the Legacies units, that Land Raider is really fun. It's still in my, eventually, I'm sure I'll get bored, find a random Land Raider lying around, what if I gave this thing, some weird guns? And, I mean, unit by unit, you can kind of tell which things we thought were worth the investment and which things weren't. The Moirax, I think, is an interesting addition. I don't know if I would go out of my way to run it, though.
I mean, it is an armiger. So the armiger's biggest thing is that until it gets fact, nothing really affects it. It's not affected by Melta. You can't put crack grenades or Melta bombs on it. It's not a vehicle. So the weird part about the armiger is that it's literally nothing.
It's in limbo.
It's in limbo, which is not bad. That's a benefit of the armiger, if anything.
So I see it where this is the spot where you really start to differentiate the army if you want different looks to it. I mean, you obviously have, your different, automatas and all that sort of stuff. But here now you start getting your vehicles, you start getting a very different look to them. I do like quite a few of the options here. It's a shame that the batteries were, so underwhelming and that some of the other options weren't quite all there. Although I do think you get enough variety of the things. And like I said, we ended really strong with the start of things that we had there. Not that you necessarily use them much, whether or not you use Lords of War and all, whether or not you play big enough games for them. But I do think they're great and very cool options. And especially if you happen to have one of those, that's something that you absolutely want to bring out whenever you end up playing large enough size games, or if you do play an apocalypse size game or anything like that. Any other thoughts, gentlemen, as I think about all the cleaning up of this audio I have to do?
No, the Mechanicum are just cool. Mechanicum are just really cool. And there are a lot of build options, as Dave kind of said. There are just a ton of build options with these guys. You like tanks, you can go tanks. You like Myrmidons, you can go Myrmidons. You like Cybernetica, you can go Cybernetica. Reductor. So I laugh because Reductor used to be the tank option, Dave, right?
Yeah.
It used to be like
that makes sense, yeah.
But you can still take tanks, just don't take the Minotaur batteries and stuff like that.
No, don't take their special tanks.
It's honestly, I know we haven't reviewed Solar Ox yet, right?
Yeah.
We haven't at all, but spoiler alert, guess who has all these guns and they're exactly the same?
Yeah. That's going to be a
shame. Guess who these guns actually hurt because they have a 4-up armor save.
That's true.
Yeah, it's yeah. So it sucks. It does, but honestly, you could take Krios, or you could take the stupid. God, again, that stupid pin 3 is so dumb. It's so stupid. And during
Oh,
night
the
fighting,
Karacnos?
yeah. Oh my god, he
Yeah.
pinned 7 units with 2 of them. So stupid. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's one of those things I feel did not need to be a 7-inch blast. Like, it
Yeah,
really
it's just
No,
it,
no, it
is a
didn't need
7-inch
to be.
blast.
he literally tagged. I think it was 3 units with one and 4 units with the other, and he did the wound. He rended, and it was just it's sick. I'm not sure it was 7. Maybe it might have been 6 pinned, but it was 6 pins because they were at leadership like 4. So stupid.
Yeah. All right. I think that will do it for us tonight. As always, we do thank you for listening, watching, whatever sort of format that you do this through. For other things that we have coming out, by the time you listen to this, there should have been a 1,000-point conquest battle that Dan and I did at his house. Should be out. As of time of recording, it's going out tomorrow. This comes out probably about a day or so after is the hope. As always, I try to get something out on Wednesday if I can. I just couldn't this week, but by Friday at the latest, then an in between as best we can. For where we're going next, as I said in the beginning, I think something we want to do at least is talk a little bit about like lists building and what we kind of see for these armies, because it took us so many parts to get through them. Then someone could sit down and say, okay, well, I've listened to all this. What do I actually do? So we're gonna do a bit of an episode related to lists, talking about different lists and what we can do with all of that. There has been at least one request to go back and do the Raven Guard Rite of War, so we do want to get back to that soon. Now that we have Solar Aux, we have to see if we want to talk through them first and then do the Rite of War, or we'll just review it ourselves first and then briefly mention where any of that matters. So that's something we want to do as well. We're also currently working on a couple other battle reports that we're doing. I have something I recorded the other day, 2 different things. Not going to talk about what they are yet. We're going to see if they come out. I'm going to see if I can make it something worthwhile. It was a bit of a test run. If it seems like it's good enough, it'll come out. If it doesn't, it will never see the light of day, but it will give us ideas of what to do further in the future. We do have some better equipment now to be able to work with some of what we want to do for battle reports. And if you watch the one for Conquest, you'll see some of the equipment that we use, although we still have some other things that we're going to do with all of that. Remember, we do have a Facebook page. We also do have a Discord as well. I'll have links in the YouTube video for all of that. I'm also working on an announcement video that'll come out hopefully soon. I just need a little bit of time to work on it. And that will explain some other things that we have going on, especially as we kind of finish out this month, as we start looking towards March and so on. Other than that, I think that's enough of announcements and everything like that for the moment. So, on behalf of everyone here at the show, then, have some good hobbying and some great gaming.